Part 208. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2075. It takes a genius to remember the address of this website in 1 second, fastest update. No ads? Suddenly, every half-star creature that settled in the yin-yang sect heard the above-mentioned old voices. Huh? Apprentice? What? Whose voice is this? This is Lord Yin-Yang, this is definitely Lord Yin-Yang. Only this Lord here can talk to us in such a way that even half-stars like us can't feel the slightest bit of power. Yes, this is Master Yin-Yang. I have met Master Yin-Yang before. Master Yin-Yang actually sent a message to us, saying that he wanted to be a disciple. Haha, Master Yin-Yang will indeed accept his disciples, and our half-star class has a chance. The old man said he wants us to prepare? Then I have to prepare well. Although my strength is not very powerful at the half-star level, I am still a little confident in my talent. I guess the disciples of Yin-Yang sect will not only choose just look at your strength, otherwise you won't be able to say that you are choosing a disciple. Yes, I have to work hard too. The half-stars on the entire planet were already in sight when they were on this planet. In fact, Yin-Yang star was completely different from what they had imagined before. Not to mention disappointing them, it was definitely not as good as they imagined being managed by the Yin-Yang sect. They were even certain that apart from the Yin-Yang sect master himself, the Yin-Yang sect was only a third-rate force and could not rely on so many semi-star level forces. But the more this happens, the more it proves how terrifying the Yin-Yang sect master is. Even if they arrived in front of the Yin-Yang sect master, no one could see the slightest bit of Yin-Yang sect master's strength. In short, they understood that the master of the Yin-Yang sect, who looked like an old turtle, was truly earth-shattering in strength. Some people even privately wondered whether this being had reached galaxy-level strength. Of course, saying it is a galaxy class is just a joke, because the galaxy class is not a cabbage on the roadside, and it is impossible for them to see it casually, or it should be said that the galaxy class powerhouse wants to create some kind of influence. There is no need to go to such a backward starry sky to recruit ordinary creatures like the Yin-Yang sect master. Instead, you can go to some forces that already have a star level and subdue that force by means. Wouldn't that be faster? Much. But these are just weak creatures, and they don't know the world of strong creatures. If the strong could do everything so easily, the entire universe would probably have changed long ago, and it would become a world where the strong roam freely and kill the weak as they please. Although it is not much different now, there are still many checks and balances for the strong, especially when it comes to things like bullying the weak. For the strong, it is not just that they will succeed if they want to do it. But one thing they guessed correctly was that if Jia Yan wanted to, he could freely run to a force established by a star-level being, and through his own strength, coercion, and inducement, that star-level person would definitely transfer his power directly in his hands, instead of spending a lot of energy to create the Yin-Yang sect. But Jia Yan has his own considerations, which are mainly reflected in 2 points. First, he was injured before, and it would not take so much energy to heal the injury. Moreover, he would not be able to perform any major movements until the injury was healed, so he could take his time and not rush. Secondly, what he wanted was the Yin-Yang sect, created from scratch, rather than finding some force to put the name of the Yin-Yang sect on it. There was no sense in doing so. Moreover, not much time is wasted. In just 2 months, the Yin-Yang sect has gained the influence of several stellar powerhouses, and has even built the Yin-Yang sect into a sect with the purest love for Yin-Yang Dao. Compared with finding other forces to take over, there are definitely fewer hidden dangers. Anyway, now he's successful. At least it was initially successful. The Yin-Yang sect is gradually getting on the right track. Hundreds of asteroids have become the talent reserve resources of this force, and the future development momentum will not be too bad. What's more, with the population here, it is possible for him to gradually develop further away. However, whether this development is just development or an offensive development depends on the surrounding areas. How to deal with their yin-yang sex power. Poof. Jia Yan said that he would give the half-star powerhouses a few days, but in fact this time was not that much. After only 3 days of waiting, Jia Yan summoned all the half-star powerhouses who were willing to be his disciples. Arrived at the highest mountain peak of Yin-Yang Star, the Yin-Yang peak created by Jia Yan himself. On this day, the creatures on the entire Yin-Yang planet felt extremely stressed. Everyone could vaguely know that on this planet, the semi-stellar powerhouses were like volcanoes ready to erupt, gathering momentum. Ready to go. But everyone has nothing to be afraid of, because on this planet, there is a master of yin-yang who can directly suppress all the powerful people on the planet. Until now, no one knows the specific strength of this adult, but there are rumors in the outside world that the strength of this being has reached the peak of a star, and there is even a certain possibility of reaching the galaxy level. In this way, with such a terrifying existence sitting in charge, who would worry that a mere half-star could turn the world upside down? But everyone is a little confused, that is, what do those half-stars who gathered under the yin-yang peak want to do? In other words, did Master Yin-Yang ask them to come? Why? Soon, people who were confused got accurate answers from the internet or from the mouths of Yin-Yang sect disciples. That is Master Yin-Yang, the leader of Yin-Yang sect, who is actually planning to find a fourth disciple among these semi-star level experts. Fourth disciple? What an amazing title. Although the Yin-Yang sect already has 3 disciples, and those 3 disciples are each weaker than the other, the weakest senior sister Billy has just become a starry sky level. But it is undeniable that the status of these 3 disciples has increased since they obtained the status of direct disciples of the master of Yin-Yang sect. It is precisely because they are weak that their status is extremely high. Even the half-star strong men can only bow their heads obediently when they see them. Especially the 3rd disciple Ryan, you must know that he, however, the powerful beings who indirectly killed 2 stellar level beings and half-star level beings treated him as if they were their seniors when they saw him, which made Ryan feel a little ashamed. Now, there will be one more person with such a status. 4th disciple. It is a pity that these 4 disciples only let half-star powerhouses fight for them, otherwise half of the people on the entire planet would have to fight for them. But that's right, if the current Yin-Yang sect accepts some disciples who are not strong enough, it will be a bit too shabby. At least a few half-star level ones are needed to simply support the facade. A group of half-stars arrived in an endless stream, and then they saw that in the most mysterious holy place of the Yin-Yang sect, under the Yin-Yang peak where the master of the Yin-Yang sect sat, there were already 3 figures, large and small. We are waiting for them. The strength of these 3 figures was not too strong for the semi-star powerhouses, but when they saw that these 3 people were actually waiting here for a long time, they were frightened, and each of them confessed. Because these 3 are the 3 disciples of the Yin-Yang sect who have the highest status except for the sect leader Yin-Yang. They are also the 3 disciples of the Yin-Yang sect who now hold a lot of real power within the Yin-Yang sect. These 3 disciples, with the exception of Bai Li, who has less actual power, the other 2 can be said to have taken over most of the current power of the Yin-Yang section. Of course, they do not dare to do any tricks. On the interstellar level, the strong ones wanting to understand the little moves of one's subordinates is just a matter of brainwave power, so subordinates or disciples in the power will never dare to do these tricks. This is even more true for the 3 major disciples of the Yin-Yang section. They were brought from the status of weak creatures to their current status by the master of the Yin-Yang sect, Yin-Yang. They can only feel grateful in their hearts. Not to mention their strength, they dare not play any tricks. For one, he wouldn't dare to betray the Yin-Yang sect. I have seen several disciples, and I troubled these disciples to come and wait here in person. We really deserve death. A star and a half-star existence could speak, and spoke directly and respectfully to several disciples. Exactly, How can we dare to take the trouble to wait for you? We have so many things to do. We are really guilty. Several half-star level beings on the other side were also flattering him respectfully. In fact, everyone knows that if they were transferred to other forces or planets, if a half-star like them did not have a half-star of the same level to come forward to greet them, they would be unhappy, because it means that their master looks down on them. But if it was the yin-yang sect that had a starry sky level and 2 venerable levels, they could only act like this, being flattered. Regardless of their strength, these 3 are indeed of high status. Besides, apart from them, the core figures of the yin-yang sect seem to have no strong people on the surface, unless they want the sect leader to personally come forward to greet them. But asking the yin-yang sect master to greet him personally? They don't have the guts. A few of you have won the prize. In the future, one of the few will become our junior brother. We will naturally come out to greet you. What's more, even if we don't become senior brothers, we are destined to be close partners in the future. Everyone can enter our yin-yang section of. As the more impartial one among the 3 disciples, Biha was the first to speak. Even if we don't become the 4th disciples in the future, will we still be able to enter the yin-yang sect? It's okay to enter, ordinary disciples. Could it be that we also have the opportunity to learn yin and yang dao? The half-star level experts were all extremely surprised. They originally thought that if they could not become the 4th disciple, they would not be able to enter the yin-yang sect, nor would they be able to practice yin-yang dao. This is extremely disappointing. In recent days, they have carefully observed each of them. Even if the yin-yang sect has not given them the yin-yang dao that half-star level experts can practice, they cannot practice it directly, but they can see that on the entire yin-yang star, all the members were practicing yin-yang dao, and they immediately understood that yin-yang dao was definitely the best and most powerful technique they had ever seen in their lives. Even if this technique can be quickly converted with the existing strength, even if they are half-star strength, it will definitely take a certain amount of time, but the conversion time will definitely be much faster than that of other techniques, because it is about half the energy can remain unchanged, and what needs to be converted is the part of the anti-energy. Therefore, each of them is full of expectations and imaginations about practicing yin and yang dao. But what surprised them was that the yin-yang sect actually made all of them members of the yin-yang sect. In fact, this is also because the yin-yang sect has recently shown contempt for these semi-star powerhouses, giving them the illusion that the yin-yang sect looks down on them. But if you think about it carefully, it becomes clear that the current personnel of the yin-yang sect, how could he refuse the addition of a half-star star? Even asking a half-star powerhouse to become the 4th disciple would give the other half-stars some reassurance, indicating that the yin-yang sect does not look down upon their half-stars. Of course, if every living thing is so calm and rational, if it is too rational, it will not be a living thing. Find bookstore M. So, disciples, what should we do to become the 4th disciple? At this time, a huge whale-like creature asked. The other half-stars also looked at the 3 disciples expectantly. They are not stupid. Although they have been guaranteed that every half-star level can join the yin-yang sect, there is no comparison between joining and becoming a disciple of the sect master. Just look at the 3 major disciples in front of them and you will know that his status is completely different from that of ordinary yin-yang sect disciples of the same level. Therefore, if you can become a disciple, it is naturally best to become a disciple. Haha, don't worry, everyone, aren't we just doing the relevant work now? First of all, what you need to know is that it is not that simple to become the disciple of Master. Ryan spoke, and when he said the words "it's not that simple," he, a very shameless disciple, couldn't help but blush. Billy and Biha, who were both thin-skinned, turned their heads away, fearing that their secret would be exposed. After all, although they experienced some hardships before becoming disciples of the yin-yang sect, it was still far behind the real difficult journey. So they are very unsure of what they are saying. We certainly know that it is not that simple to become a disciple of the sect leader, so what exactly do we need to do? Test of entry into the sect. Ryan's next words made several half-stars slightly startled. What is the test for joining the sect? Does it also need to test our half-star strength? What's more, on such a small planet, how can we measure the strength of our half-star strong ones, although our strength is compared to that of the sect master? It's nothing, but it's half-star level after all. Several semi-star level experts are still somewhat conceited about their own strength. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2076. Don't worry, everyone. Since Master said he would let you test it, he has his own way. The three major disciples made way. Behind them, there was a terrifying cliff-like sky road that led all the way to Yin Yang Peak, which was 10 kilometers high. On this Yin Yang Peak, all the creatures in the entire Yin Yang star live, and they all worship and fear the master of the Yin Yang sect, Yin Yang. Normally, Yin Yang Peak was always shrouded by magical power. When the three disciples moved out of the way, this power disappeared, and the mist that shrouded the surface of the mountain peak disappeared into nothing in an instant, as if the tide had receded. Guys, as you can see, above this is where our master is. Now we will test your climbing. Whoever reaches the top first will be the fourth disciple. Ryan continued. Huh? So simple. 1.5 stars couldn't believe his eyes. Climb mountains. They are a group of creatures that can move freely in the starry sky. How could they be stumped by such a hill? Don't be too careless. How can you guess the master's methods? If he wants you to go to this mountain, he must have his reasons. If you have any doubts, it is better to try it yourself. Ryan smiled slightly and pointed to the mountain behind him. Okay, just give it a try. I won't believe it. It's just a mountain peak and I can't climb it. A star and a half-star existence chuckled, then flew towards Yin Yang Peak with disdain. But they didn't wait until this semi-star level being, who was several hundred meters tall, approached Yin Yang Peak. He screamed oops and then lost the ability to fly. He fell straight from mid-air to the foot of the mountain peak. This. The half-star was stunned. Although he knew that things couldn't be that simple, he never expected that he couldn't even fly. If these are all Yin Yang's abilities, then he can't even imagine how powerful Yin Yang is. But we can walk on the ground. Do we need to climb? If they were to climb, each of them would be more than 100 meters tall, some even reaching 500 or 600 meters high, while Yin Yang Peak was only over 10 kilometers tall, not much taller than them. Just crawl, he has already taken the lead, why should he give up? This half-star creature is not evil at all. He has the advantage of being the first to move. How can he be faster than others? He began to use his legs to climb up to Yin Yang Peak. He can think of climbing, and other semi-star level experts can naturally think of this too. We're coming too. This guy is much faster than us. We can't fall behind too much, otherwise the position of fourth disciple will fall to him. The other half-star level experts all started charging in the same way. However, with the lessons learned from the past, they will not be stupid enough to take off again, which is just a waste of time. Boom boom boom. The strength of each half-star level is extremely terrifying, and the momentum caused by the presence of 7 or 8 half-star levels is even more shocking. The three major disciples behind them looked at this group of half-stars, all fighting desperately for the status they had obtained. Well, seeing these semi-star seniors, I realized how lucky I am. Oh, senior sister, you say you are lucky, but in fact I am not. Senior sister, second senior brother, forget it. I, the original leader of the force that attacks the Yin Yang sect, am 100 times luckier than you. Master loves me, an untalented enemy, and actually gave me the status of third disciple. Now I see this group of seniors desperately fighting for the status of the fourth disciple. I am a little overwhelmed, wondering if my own status is not worthy of it. Billy and Biha lamented that they were a bit virtuous and unworthy, but Ryan lamented that he was unworthy even more than they did, because in addition to his low strength, he also had another identity, that is, he had once been an enemy of the yin-yang sect. Such an identity is a stain if we really need to pursue it. Haha, let's stop being like this. If word spreads, others will think that we are simply ignorant of our blessings. We have such a high status and are still moaning for no reason. That's true, but look, how will Master test them? This yin-yang peak, although not very shabby, has a total height of just over 10 kilometers, let alone a test for semi-star level experts. Even if it is used to test Earth-level beings, it is a bit inadequate. I'm a little confused about this, but I guess Master will have his own opinion, huh? What's going on? Why did that person disappear? Several apprentices were talking about how Jia Yan tested the semi-stars, but soon, their expressions changed drastically. Because they discovered that most of the half-star level creatures that had just flown into Yin-Yang Peak actually entered an extremely twisted state under the mountain peak in an instant. Subspace. The three disciples were all startled, then looked at each other and understood their master's arrangement. Yes, since this yin-yang peak is relatively small and not suitable for being a semi-stellar examination room, then let them enter the subspace. Haha, Master's subspace talent is truly outstanding. These half-stars will probably be disgraced. Of course, if there is anyone who can get out smoothly, it will be our junior brother or junior sister. We must build a good relationship in the future. Several disciples just watched a famous semi-star level being enter the twisted subspace. Even if the people coming from behind had already seen the people in front of them entering the strange terrain of subspace, they had no clue. He hesitated, but still jumped in. After all, if the yin-yang sect master wants to attack them, there is no need to go to such trouble. If the brainwave power comes over, it is guaranteed that no one can stop it. These half-stars are worthy of being half-stars. Their mobility and decisiveness are much more capable than other disciples. Jia Yan was at the top of Yin-Yang Peak, watching what was going on below. The opening of the space that time was not the behavior of his clone, but the real body from inside the subspace. Of course, the real body did not want to show its face, but chose to sink into the subspace after the third dimension, silently observing this group of semi-star level creatures. Semi-star level existences without subspace talent cannot see anything beyond 3 dimensions, so Jia Yan is not worried about any of these creatures being able to see him. It's just that things always seem to be a little exception. A half-star creature, just as it flew into the subspace, turned towards the direction of Jia Yan's true body, and his expression seemed to change. But before he could take a closer look, he noticed something was wrong in the subspace. A large area of subspace was twisting and rolling, and nothing could be seen. Hey, could it be my illusion? Well, that's right. The distortion in the subspace is very serious. The 3-dimensional subspace is also a place in the subspace that I can barely see. I must have seen it wrong. The half-star shook his head angrily and continued to fly forward. These semi-star powerhouses, in this subspace, are actually testing their adaptability and their ability to face complex and unfamiliar terrain. Jia Yan never thought that he would see a creature with subspace talent among these semi-star powerhouses. Oh, this guy is actually a semi-star level subspace talent expert. That's right, in the central star field of the Milky Way, there are many people with all kinds of talents, and there should be quite a few with subspace talents. Bar. Jia Yan was moved. In his life, the talent of subspace has helped him a lot regardless of yin and yang. Jia Yan actually wants to find a genius with the talent of subspace who can truly teach him the understanding of subspace combat. However, geniuses with subspace talents either cannot be encountered, or their talents are not enough, or their character is not good enough. It is not that Jia Yan has never encountered such a being, but he has always missed it before. This time, there is actually a half-star level sub-level talent expert who comes to his sect to conduct a disciple test. That's right, subspace talents are great in the outside world, but in this central star field of the Milky Way, if you don't have matching talents, you probably won't be able to do well. Being able to reach half-star level is considered good. Beginner level of half-star level is not far from the intermediate level, but this talent. Jia Yan silently observed this half-star, watching him avoid flying meteorites in the meteorite area he had arranged, and shook his head slightly. This guy does have subdimensional talent, but his talent is really not that strong. He is probably 3 or 4 times as old as Jia Yan himself, almost reaching the mid to late half-star age, past his peak state. If there are no opportunities and breakthroughs, even if he is stuck at the level of starting from the semi-star level to the later level, he will be stuck in a state of ecstasy and die at this level. This is probably the reason why this guy, aside from his subdimensional talent, came to participate in the selection of the 4 disciples of Yin and Yang Dao. Even if they are not good at subspace talents, because of their unique talents, they are at least somewhat useful in detecting the dangers of subspace, so they generally do not lack good jobs. This guy went to various factions and was forced to surrender by the yin-yang section. He must have been wandering around in other places, hoping to find some opportunities for promotion. It's not surprising at all. In a universe where the strong is supreme, there are such strong people everywhere who are better than others. Although they can achieve stable work and income, they will give up because there is no chance of progress. I ran out of my previous stable life to try that slim chance. Others, let's take a look. This guy is much older than me and is not suitable to be my disciple. Jia Yan forced himself to let go of his attention to this subspace talented semi-star. Others performed well, but Jia Yan's eyes were always involuntarily focused on this semi-star creature with similar talents to his own. Ha! Break it for me. A meteorite flew close to him, and Lan Kuo struck hard. The meteorite exploded, giving him some breathing space. Look, that's the exit over there. The distortion there feels like a hole. A star and a half was beside him, pointing suddenly at a twisted gap. But that gap seemed to be hundreds of kilometers away from them. After all, this was a subspace. The terrifying yin-yang sect master's strength allowed them to experience a battlefield environment that was expanded many times. And here, there is no fear that these half-stars will explode in strength. Don't worry, they will destroy the yin-yang star, which is not very big. We have to go so far, how about we join forces? Hey, let's forget about joining forces. God knows who will be behind it. Besides, since the master of the yin-yang sect is testing our individual abilities, he won't want to see his disciples pass the test by joining forces, right? That makes sense. Then there's no need to join forces. We can all show our talents. Several half-stars flew towards the twisted place while dealing with the meteorites flying in the sky. Is that really the exit? My subspace talent, this, what kind of strength is this? My subspace talent can't even see what is there. The strength of the yin-yang sect master, has it really reached such an unfathomable level? Lan Kuo has been reluctantly dealing with the flying meteorites, and then observing the exit that is recognized by everyone. Since Jia Yan in the outside world knows that he is a strong person with subspace talent, he will naturally use some tricks to make him not know whether there is an exit from subspace. This kind of small trick can be easily done by him. My subspace talent is not very strong, so when I came here this time, I didn't mention it to them at all. No one knew that I had subspace talent. After all, if I said it, there wouldn't be any extra points, right? Lord Yin-Yang Sect's subdimensional talent is already powerful enough to penetrate the heavens and the earth, and I finally managed to control the distortion around me. This Lan Kuo is very lacking in self-confidence. After all, if he has such a subdimensional talent, if he does not have a truly powerful level, people will laugh at him and say that they have such a good talent in vain. For example, this Lankuo, his subspace talent is that when entering the first level of subspace, he can slightly induce the subspace around him, and then guide the subspace so that it is not so harmful to him. If you really want to work hard, other talented semi-star level experts can also do it, but it will be easier without him. For example, right now, the half-star powerhouses around him are controlling the distortion of subspace to prevent the environment here from harming them. As for Lankuo, even if he uses his talent, he is still a little better than others, even to the extent that others cannot notice it at all if they don't notice it carefully. This is the tragedy of a person who, although he has a good talent, is only at the tail end of his talent. Sometimes, he dare not mention that he has such a good talent because he simply cannot perform well. No, I judge based on intuition. The master of the subspace will definitely not set the exit there. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2077. Lankuo's face was solemn. As a person with subdimensional talents, he dared to say that he understood the yin and yang best among all the people present. Since he has established such a test place in subspace, it will not be so simple. In particular, since all examiners are half-star level experts, they should not act like they are assessing Earth-level creatures. The purpose and final goal are so simple. This assessment is to test out his 4 disciples. This is a big deal. If the yin-yang sect master just wants to see who can run faster and survive the meteor attack, there must be other methods. Besides, it's just that people with such strong combat power and fast speed don't need too many tests at all, just see who is stronger, so why bother doing this? Lankuo's guess was correct, because Jia Yan really didn't think about it. He only tested the strength of these people. In terms of strength, to him, it didn't matter if a half-star powerhouse was twice as powerful. Influence, what he needs is future potential, as well as the ability to help him deal with some things now. Lankuo began to move rapidly in the subspace. Unlike the semi-stars that were gradually approaching the twisted whirlpool, he actually did the opposite and bolted further away. Oh! Jia Yan's true form, which was deeper in the subspace, paused slightly, and then laughed, with a hint of surprise on his expression. He really never thought about accepting this subdimensional talent as his disciple, but seeing that he was indeed a bit different, Jia Yan became slightly interested. There is a big rock over there, no, it should be a giant mountain. Has the master of the yin-yang sect's subspace talent actually reached such a terrifying level? It is simply an asteroid. This kind of giant mountain must be placed here. If you have any intention, I'll go over and take a look. Lankuo saw that inside the subspace, there was a huge boulder far away from the whirlpool, or it should be said to be an asteroid with a diameter of more than 30 kilometers. It was the same as the peasant star where Jia Yan landed previously. Not much difference. Such a large meteorite-like stone has been made into a new shape by Jia Yan's brainwave power. There are holes that can accommodate experts of about half a star level to enter. Lankuo's actions and flight direction could also be seen by other half-star level beings. When they discovered that a fellow half-star level expert actually chose another direction in the twisted subspace, they were all startled slightly. And when one of them hesitated, the half-star being who happened to be the fastest rushed into the whirlpool. Ah! This is not an exit at all. The half-star powerhouse screamed, and he was sucked into the vortex. It would take a few days before he could get out of the vortex again. This whirlpool is basically a trap. Please be careful. The other half-stars immediately did not dare to get closer and flew back. Fortunately, everyone felt a little relieved that the half-star who entered the whirlpool trap was not in any life-or-death crisis. It was obvious that Lord Yin Yang did not want their lives. Over there, that half-star friend who went over just now must have discovered something. Let's go over and have a look. I saw a little bit, and there was actually a giant meteorite mountain there. Damn it, why can't we see it? Can that half-star friend be able to see it from so far away? It is said that that guy has a certain talent in subspace. It seems that the rumors are not false. He has a subspace talent? Damn it, doesn't this give him an advantage? The master of the Yin-Yang sect has a subspace talent. It is very normal to fall in love with a disciple who has a subspace talent. Let's go there quickly. The other half-star creatures were all cursing and flying towards Lan Kuo's location. As for the semi-star level creatures trapped in the whirlpool, there is no danger to their lives, they are just trapped in the whirlpool. He can still come out, but in terms of time and speed, he will fall far behind others. Of course, Jia Yan's design is not to let people make a little mistake and lose the opportunity. As long as he still has his own drive, maybe he will be the final winner. Buzz. Lan Kuo took the lead and took all the opportunities to enter the huge stone. His body is about 200 meters tall. Inside this huge meteorite with a diameter of 30 kilometers, it is like entering an extremely huge maze. The passages in the maze extend in all directions, and it is obvious that the brainwave power of the person who created this maze can be found around the passages, as if he created this maze easily and freely. The strength of the Yin-Yang sect master is really astounding. If I were to do it, I wouldn't be able to drag such a large planet, let alone create this maze. It feels like I could just pull it at my fingertips. He sighed and looked around. Of course, his guess was correct. Jia Yan created this huge stone maze at random, just like Jia Yan saw the former queen of the Zerg, who could create life at will. Jia Yan created such a maze, to a semi-star level creature, it seems like a miracle. It's just that Jia Yan didn't just make a maze like this, he also made some fun things. The one with subspace talent has gone in. Haha, now let's see if my gadgets are effective. Jia Yan looked at the scene in front of him in the distant subspace, and then smiled slightly. Within the maze, Lan Kuo, who had just entered not long ago, directly felt something strange moving on the ground. What? He looked around warily. Then a pile of stones on the ground actually squirmed on their own, forming some kind of gargoyle-like monster. This, created a living thing out of nothing. No, this is not a living thing. It should be a machine-like thing endowed with certain brainwave powers to act on its own. It scared me. I thought that person had reached the level of being able to create life. That is no joke. Lan Kuo was startled, and then he realized that the stone animals he saw were not real life. If so, just like the queen of the Zerg that Jia Yan saw, she could create a biological race out of thin air. That would be a possibility that could only be achieved by at least the domain lord creature. Even most territory lords couldn't do it. At this point. Fortunately, Jia Yan was not able to do it, otherwise Lan Kuo would be scared to death. Of course, he didn't understand that even a creature that could achieve this level must be at least a galaxy level. Buzz. The stone-like monster that appeared suddenly raised the stone club in his hand and struck Lan Kuo with it. Don't try to get in the way. When Lan Kuo saw that the stone statue-like creature had brainwave power that was only about the level of a venerable, he immediately lost the mood to continue exploring. After all, he knew that the reason for the appearance of these stone statues was probably to stop them, the assessors. So he wanted to escape from the stone statue as fast as he could without killing the opponent, because the stone statue would definitely create some obstacles for the semi-star level examiners who came later. But something he didn't expect happened, that is, the stone creature actually used a speed that was not at the level of a venerable, and flew in front of Lan Kuo's eyes in an instant. This speed is at least half-star level. Haha, I know how could Master Yin Yang really put some obstacles that only have the combat power of the venerable level. It seems that we have to defeat it, but the people behind him have already coming. He smiled bitterly and fought with the stone creature. Sure enough, when he got into a ball with the stone creature, there was already a large group of semi-star level creatures outside the huge stone maze, flying into the maze. Ha ha ha, then Lan Kuo was held back. It seems that coming early is not a complete advantage. Since he has been held back, let's move forward. It seems that this is the real place of final assessment. Be careful, this stone creature is quite powerful. Of course he has good strength. This is a trap set by the Yin-Yang sect master himself. Fortunately, he doesn't want our lives, otherwise we would have died long ago. That's natural, but even if we don't die, don't forget our original intention, which is to become the fourth disciple. I know, let's go. 1.5 stars passed by Lan Kuo's battle group, but what made them happy was that the stone statue was concentrating on dealing with Lan Kuo instead of stopping them. Ka. But what frightened this group of semi-star creatures was that when they walked a little further, they found a tangle on the ground, and countless stone creatures stood up. Each one has the strength similar to the stone creature just now, this and this. No, it's not that many. The number of these stone statues is the same as ours. Fortunately, it's not countless. If it were countless, our assessment would be impossible to succeed. But, how powerful is this existence, to be able to create so many stone statues equivalent to half-star level? Moreover, this is not a trump card, it is just an assessment. Master Yin Yang, what kind of existence is it? A group of half-stars were completely dumbfounded. They had previously thought that Lord Yin Yang had spent a lot of effort to create such a stone statue. But now that they saw it, it was definitely not the case. He must still be able to create such a stone statue. Have energy to spare. This shows that the strength of Yin and Yang is even more terrifying than everyone imagined. To be honest, these half-star forces, except for one who can become Jia Yan's disciple, will definitely still be in charge of one side when they return to their home base. What Jia Yan is doing today is not to hesitate to use part of his strength. If they are exposed, we should also give them a little bit of a knock-on effect. Of course, looking at it now, this effect is quite good. At least all the half-star powerhouses present were extremely shocked by Jia Yan's strength. Even if they had the power again, they probably wouldn't dare to go back. What kind of betrayal did you do to the Yin-Yang sect? Bang! When they were shocked, some of the stone creatures were already charging towards them. Look at me, these are just stone creatures, they will definitely not be our opponents. One of the half-star creatures rushed forward suddenly. Buzz! When the stone creature saw this half-star creature, something seemed to have changed within its body. With a slight strength, it turned into a stone creature with almost the same strength as this half-star creature. The two creatures fought together, but were evenly matched for a while. Bang! On the other end, there was also a semi-star level creature, fighting against a stone creature that looked like a venerable level creature. This. The other half-stars who had not yet fought the stone creature were shocked. Be careful! This stone creature deliberately transformed into someone of similar strength to you at the same time as they fought with you. They may have other potentials. A star and a half said his analysis results to the two creatures in the confrontation. We know it, but there is nothing we can do about it. This stone statue is actually about the same strength as me. In other words, if he wants to have more strength, I can't handle it if he goes to Shiyuan. It'll be okay. This is the stone creature that Master Yin Yang used to test us. I believe you don't want our lives. The 2.5 stars also had their own troubles. They didn't know that the stone creature had adjusted to their strength at the first moment of contact, but they knew it was useless. They couldn't escape even if they couldn't defeat it. Boom. While talking, other stone creatures also swarmed up and fought one-on-one with their chosen opponents. At this time, every half-star powerhouse was horrified to find that their opponents, the stone creatures, would adjust to beings whose strength was similar to theirs at the first moment of contact. This shows that the stone statue creatures still have a lot of room for prosperity. If they really want to fight, they may not be able to resist for a long time. What should we do? Everyone has a stone creature blocking us. No one of us can pass here. All the half-stars felt a little depressed. Everyone listen to me. At this moment, Lankuo, who was fighting in the distance, suddenly shouted. While everyone was fighting fiercely, they all turned their heads to look at the first half-star who came to the maze when they found out that he had spoken. Listen to me, I guess Lord Yin Yang doesn't want us to pass. He is just testing our comprehensive data, so this battle will not be a one-on-one fight. Now we need to join forces. Lankuo's reminder made a group of semi-star level creatures shine. Yes, if you fight alone, the gargoyle will make corresponding adjustments no matter what kind of strength you unleash. But if we join forces, won't it make adjustments? Of course, there is no absolute in this kind of thing, but it's okay to try. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2078. Lankuo, I'll listen to you just once. Several half-star level creatures looked at each other, and then they gradually got closer during the confrontation. The stone creatures seemed not to know what they wanted to do, and allowed them to gradually get closer together during the battle. Die to me. Suddenly, a half-star who was fighting with the stone creature in front of him suddenly turned around during the fight and launched a sneak attack on another half-star who was fighting with the stone creature behind him. The stone creature in front of him was distracted by another half-star, and he resisted it a little. Bang! The stone creature he attacked was like quicksand, and was turned into rubble by one blow. Ha ha ha, it's done, it really is like that. Lankuo, you have accomplished a meritorious service. A group of semi-star level experts were extremely happy. With one person free, the progress of the sneak attack became faster. Before long, the 7 creatures here directly helped each other and eliminated all the enemies around them. Good, everyone move on. Ah! You guys, you don't care about me anymore. Suddenly, everyone was about to walk into the maze, but Lankuo was startled because there was a stone creature in front of him that had not been eliminated. Some of those half-stars looked back at him, but just smiled and left. These semi-star attitudes are because Lankuo, a person with subspace talent, has put too much pressure on them. After all, he is the only one with subspace talent. Previously, Lankuo was able to reach this huge meteorite. Which is also the reason why everyone is afraid of him. Lankuo, please stay here for a while. We are very grateful for your suggestion, but competition is competition. I believe this stone creature will not kill you. Just keep fighting slowly. Lankuo watched depressedly as these half-stars filed in one by one, entering deeper into the maze, and then shook his head speechlessly. He had experienced these things many times, and had even done them in his previous adventures and battles, so it was not that he couldn't understand it, but when it was his turn to be treated like this, he was still a little unwilling. It's just that he didn't want to say anything. After all, everyone is not related to him. Even if they are friends, there is nothing to talk about in this kind of matter, and it is not a real battle. But just when Lankuo was about to do this, suddenly, another creature flew into the outside of the big meteorite. It was the creature trapped in the whirlpool before. Ah! Lankuo, aren't you the first to come to this land of meteorites? Hey, is this a stone creature? Look how I kill him. The creature trapped in the whirlpool was a little stunned when he saw Lankuo's figure, because he also knew that Lankuo was the first to come to this planet, but he did not expect that Lankuo was the first to come in, but he became I am still here entangled with the stone creatures. Without waiting for the creature to ask more questions, a stone-like creature appeared in front of him just like others. He chuckled and rushed forward to fight with the stone-like creature. Brother, don't waste your energy. This stone statue creature is not that simple. The fight will be endless. How about you and I cooperate to kill the stone statue, and then form a team together to move forward? Lan Kuo shouted loudly. This is another village where everything is bright and clear. I thought there was nothing I could do, but I encountered another helper. Okay. Although the half-star who had been trapped in the vortex for a while was not a fool, his recklessness meant that he was not a scheming being. In an instant, he destroyed the stone statue he was fighting. The creature is attracted to Lan Kuo. Lan Kuo hesitated for a moment because he was worried about meeting semi-star guys like those before. But this worry was interrupted by himself after a flash. Since you have chosen to believe others, then believe it to the end. Lan Kuo turned around in an instant, and in an instant he helped the half-star with one blow, killing the stone creature. Haha, Lan Kuo, you are really generous. I think I know why you stayed until the last one. The half-star suddenly laughed wildly. Lan Kuo's heart sank, thinking that the other party would abandon him like the previous half-stars. But he didn't expect that the half-star level guy would fight back and help Lan Kuo attack the stone creature that was fighting with him. Bang! After one blow, the stone creature was killed. However, I am not those guys. If you help me, I will naturally help you. This creature, which had been trapped in the whirlpool for a long time, was still very generous, but after helping Lan Kuo, it flew forward first. Haha, this guy Lan Kuo also smiled slightly, and then followed behind him, quickly approaching deeper into the planet's maze. And when all the half-stars entered the deeper interior of the meteorite. In the dark space of the subspace, from within the distortion, a huge creature that was comparable to the size of this meteorite slowly flew out. The whole body of this creature is almost the same black as the black inside the subspace. It has a slender mouth part. Power and perfection are written everywhere on its entire body. He is Jia Yan's true form. Maybe the people inside had never thought that after they entered the interior of the meteorite, a huge object almost the same size as the meteorite appeared next to them in this space. Haha, these half-stars probably don't know that inside is the last level for me to test them. After all, I don't have much time, and what's important to them doesn't matter to me either. So valued. Jia Yan looked at the meteorite indifferently. Just as he said, he was more casual in accepting disciples. This fourth disciple was just because the one he wanted to accept was half a star, and there were people in the entire starry sky. The creatures knew it, so he gave them a little face and made some noise, but in fact Jia Yan didn't take it too seriously. If he had to say it, all of his current disciples should be star level, so that Jia Yan would pay a little more attention to it, because a star level being needs exactly star level disciples, so that he can only when he can help himself and teach such creatures can he feel like teaching others. Otherwise, even if they are half star level, there is nothing too profound to teach. After all, the difference in strength is too big. This is just like many territory lord creatures do not want to teach star level, but will accept the disciples of the primary level of the galaxy. Although they are theoretically only the intermediate level of the galaxy, for the real galaxy level, they will I know how big the gap is between the territory lord and the primary creatures of the galaxy. But Jia Yan is not the kind of person who accepts apprentices and then completely ignores them because he has achieved his goal. Just like Billy, this little girl's strength has just reached the starry sky level. Logically speaking, she wants to help Jia Yan himself. I don't know what happened many years later. But Jia Yan still dotes on her, maybe because he likes to watch his children grow up, or because Jia Yan reminds her of his son Jia Rong, or Jia Qi, whom he has never met before. A few faces, but very cute Jia Ruo. There are so many juniors that I haven't seen for a long time. Jia Yan thought about this wildly, and then let out a long sigh. It's okay, just accept some disciples, just to relieve the pain of lovesickness. He is not a person who loves his family very much, otherwise he would not run into the vast universe alone and wander around thousands of light years away every day. But there are always exceptions. It is at such times that he always thinks about his family and feels deeply lonely. As a human being, or as a high-level creature, there will always be such a situation. Personal emotions will always overflow unconsciously and uncontrollably. Boom. When Jia Yan was slightly distracted, he found that the fight inside was extremely hot again. In fact, Jia Yan put some brainwave power used by the stone statue inside this huge meteorite. For him, such power is very simple, just release some power casually. But for the creatures inside, these random powers of Jia Yan are simply something that will kill them. It is obvious that the size of this kind of power is like that of a venerable, but each of them has a very difficult time dealing with it. Even if they are tired, they may be injured by a stone statue with the same strength as themselves. In this case, their judgment and ability to call are tested, because they need the help of others to defeat the stone creatures. But under such circumstances, Jia Yan will also observe which half-star is using his own real skills to resolve the crisis, rather than using his personal strength to order the half-stars around him to proceed. Rescued. That's right, even with the command of strength, among the half-stars who entered the interior of the meteorite, there were also half-stars similar to the strongest ones. There were about 3 people. Each of them was attacking the surrounding half-stars. Stellar level, giving orders. Under such circumstances, although he did it very cryptically, Jia Yan was already at the galaxy level, and such cryptic places could be seen through at a glance. I will not accept these people. They use their own strength to bully others. Although under normal circumstances, I will not resist, but in this case, I absolutely don't like it, because if they become, although they are only the 4th disciples, they will be the strongest disciples for a long time at least. So based on their nature, will they bully other disciples like Billy? This pair, to me, it is absolutely intolerable. Jia Yan looked at it again. To be honest, he valued the combat prowess and even talent of these creatures secondly. Otherwise, he would not have accepted Billy and others. What he valued was the judgment of the situation, and future development potential and so on. Even if someone has good talent, but has no ability to deal with others and has no ability to tolerate, he will not want it. But after seeing so much, Jia Yan was still a little helpless, because his eyes had been attracted to the half-star with subspace talent. He didn't want others to say that he had chosen that Lankuo from the beginning, so he wanted to shift his attention to others, but for some reason, when he looked at others, he felt that this place was better, so he would look back again. Finally, the battle between the stone statues gradually eased up. Although everyone was acting in confusion, fortunately, the stone statues were designed to be defeated quickly once outsiders intervened, so they still won easily. The huge figure of Jia Yan's real body slowly retreated into the depths of subspace. Out. Ha ha ha, we're out. There is a twisted passage inside the meteorite. When those semi-stars who won the battle walked out of the twisted place, they inexplicably came to the normal space outside and reached the peak of the yin-yang peak. Top. Every half-star creature seems to be extremely happy, thinking that they all have a chance. Especially the first half-star who came out of the distortion, he already regarded himself as the 4th disciple in his eyes. After they walked out of the distortion, they directly saw a small-looking house on the top of the mountain. The house was not even as big as them. But no one dares to underestimate this house, because they know that in this house, there is probably the person they most want to be their apprentice, Yin Yang. Find the book garden. Yin and Yang did not let them wait too long. After everyone walked out of the subspace, the door opened on its own without wind. Creak. The door opened, and inside there was a turtle-like creature with a long white beard, walking out step by step like a fairy. This turtle is only over 1 meter tall and is as big as an ordinary earthling. But everyone knows that the tortoise creature is yin and yang, and he has had a precedent of growing hundreds of meters tall before, so no one dares to look down upon him in the slightest. I've met the yin-yang sect master. I've met the sect leader. I've met Master Yin-Yang. Every half-star creature quickly saluted the turtle creature respectfully. Well, you are all good. Jia Yan smiled, controlled the yin and yang clone, and slowly walked to the center of a group of creatures. Fortunately, he used his brainwave power to create a large platform on the top of the yin-yang peak, otherwise so many creatures over 100 meters tall would not be able to stand on it. Come on, don't be polite, everyone sit down. The tortoise creature has a kind-hearted nature, which makes everyone feel good about him. Today, I'm calling everyone here to participate in this disciple competition. I don't want you to be hostile, because even if you can't become a disciple now, you will still have opportunities in the future. And even if you are not my disciple, as long as you are talented enough, even if you are not a disciple, you can come at any time if you want any techniques or want to listen to my explanations. Of course, there will be some contribution requirements, but for a half-star creature, this requirement is not too high. Jia Yan explained a few words calmly, making everyone in the group of semi-star creatures relax slightly. What they fear most is that after they have paid so much, they have not become a disciple, and there will be no chance of becoming stronger through the yin and yang Dao in the future. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2079. Although what the yin-yang sect master said now is not completely free of effort, since there is a way to obtain the cultivation techniques and explanations, then this road is not blocked, and the future is promising. When Jia Yan said this, he was actually trying to persuade these semi-star level beings to give up the idea of leaving the yin-yang section. They would not be able to become disciples. It would not be without any concern for half-star level beings to leave this place and find a place to start a new one. Okay, even if there are some opportunities, it is possible to make better progress elsewhere. But Jia Yan still needs these semi-star contributions for the time being, so he has to use words to deceive these people, and what he said is not a lie. He will help answer questions in the future. As for those half-stars who want to leave after making progress in cultivation, it's difficult, because after cultivating yin-yang Dao, the subsequent cultivation methods and experiences are not available anywhere else in the entire universe. The only way is to follow the yin-yang sect to the dark side for the rest of your life, otherwise you will give up your martial arts and rebuild the bad streets of the universe. Go practice the Fa. No one can do this. Sir, the sect master has done too much. Even if we don't become disciples, we will definitely not betray the section. Yes, the atmosphere and cultivation environment of the yin-yang sect are so good, and the prospects are bright. Why should I leave and be like Xian Yun Yehi? Several half-stars quickly followed Jia Yan's words and promised that they would definitely not leave. The other half-stars around them nodded repeatedly. These semi-stellar creatures are all younger than Jia Yan, and their words are naturally beautiful. Very good, then I will announce who caught my eye during your assessment this time. After Jia Yan heard what these creatures said, he no longer had any unnecessary thoughts and directly announced the results. The famous semi-star level creatures were all staring at him, especially the one who was the first to come out to the outside world. He was extremely excited. He is a creature that has reached the pinnacle of the intermediate half-star level. Although he has not reached the lower level, he is only one step away from it. For other half-star level creatures, he has obtained the position of disciple. Are all convinced? But while everyone was waiting, Jia Yan gradually turned his gaze away from the first half-star powerhouse to come out and focused on Lan Kuo. Lan Kuo, in this assessment, both your overall performance and your personal performance were relatively good. Of course, the key point is your talent, which is also a subdimensional talent. I have wasted my life. I just want to find a disciple with subspace talent. Although your subspace talent is very poor, I am still willing to give you some guidance. I wonder if you are willing to become my disciple. Ah! Lan Kuo was startled for a moment, then suddenly became ecstatic and nodded repeatedly, I am willing, I have met the master. He was not stupid, he knew what to say at this time, and he even almost knelt down to worship Jia Yan. What? It's actually Lan Kuo. Master Yin Yang did not choose the first one, nor the strongest one, but chose Lan Kuo, just because he has a subdimensional talent. This, if subdimensional talent exists, it would be better to talk about it from the beginning. When several half-star creatures saw that it was Lan Kuo who won the final victory, everyone felt a little unhappy, because although they knew that Lan Kuo was a creature with talent in dimensional space, they could not to them, Master Yin Yang should not be such a trickster, but they never expected that Master Yin Yang would still choose this way. This made them all doubt whether Master Yin Yang had chosen it from the beginning. Lan Kuo, and they are just here to accompany the prince to study? This is a bit hurtful. You don't have to think too much. In fact, if you go back and think about it carefully, you should be able to know that Lan Kuo is much better than you think. During this mission, he at least showed me several qualities that you don't have ability. If you know a little bit about things, you can figure it out for yourself when you go back. Well, not to mention too much, you are not completely without opportunities. For example, you. Jia Yan explained for a while, and then he looked at the creature that was the first to reach the peak of the semi-star mid-level in subspace. Your talent and strength, as well as your combat judgment are good. If you work hard and let me see your future prospects, I might accept you as the 5th or 6th disciple in the future. Of course, all of this it depends on how you perform next. After Jia Yan said this, he saw the face of the first creature that came out of the subspace burst into ecstasy. These words seemed to be decreed by the emperor. But what depressed him was that after Jia Yan said this, he turned to others. And you too, I will pay attention to your future cultivation progress. If there is anyone whose talent in Yin and Yang Dao is worthy of my individual training, I will not be stingy with a small disciple name. Now, Lan Kuo stays, you go, I will pay attention to you few and work hard. Yes. A group of semi-star level creatures responded with a bang one by one. Then, they all flew away from the Yin-Yang peak where the Yin-Yang sect's supreme commander was located. Okay, now it's just you and me, Lan Kuo, tell me what you thought when you helped others before. The Yin and Yang transformed by Jia Yan turned his back to Lan Kuo and asked calmly. Lan Kuo's expression became tense for a moment. He knew that he was only initially recognized as a disciple. If he didn't perform well enough, maybe Jia Yan would take back his life. If he went back in despair, he would become a laughing stock. Of course, the biggest loss would be that he would not be able to become this disciple. Disciple, the future is really bleak. Teacher, master of the Yin-Yang sect, I think so. Although I haven't done many good things before, at least I can't suffer too much in an assessment, because we will still be colleagues in the future. Lan Kuo's words were very subdued, and he also knew that in this situation, any righteous words he said would not have much good effect. In that case, it would be better to just say whatever he thought to the sect leader. Maybe there is still a chance to save the life of the Yin-Yang sect master. He thought Jia Yan wanted to take his life back. Haha, don't worry, there is no need to call me sect leader, just call me master. I am not the kind of person who goes back on his words. Jia Yan shook his head and told him to relax. Then, Jia Yan nodded again. Is that what you think? That's right. In fact, if you answer that you are kind-hearted or speak lofty words, I will really consider letting you return to the team of ordinary semi-star level experts, but you don't disappoint me. This is a normal mentality, not some kind of holy mother. If you really have that kind of mentality, it is absolutely impossible to live in this universe for a long time, and I, Yin Yang, will not let such a person become my disciple. Ah! It's great to see you, Master. When Lan Kuo heard what Jia Yan said, he was so frightened that cold sweat ran down his back, because at that moment, he really wanted to say something lofty and make Jia Yan think more highly of himself. Unexpectedly, that was Jia Yan. Yan didn't like what he heard. Okay, I'll call a few other apprentices to come up later. You must be familiar with them, but you still need to introduce them. You will become one of them in the future, and you are good at it. I will let you take on more responsibility, do you understand this? Yes, the disciple naturally understands the master, but I think that several senior brothers and sisters will soon improve their strength and surpass mine. They are more talented than me. His answer made Jia Yan almost laugh. Those guys are so talented that if they can reach semi-star level in the future, I will burn incense and pray to Buddha. However, he didn't say it out loud. It would be best for Lan Kuo to experience this kind of thing himself in the future. The meeting of the four disciples was also extremely harmonious. After all, the senior sister was the weakest, the second senior brother was an honest person, the third senior brother felt that he was a disciple who had been promoted to general, and Lan Kuo did not dare to be presumptuous when he first arrived, so everyone very humble and peaceful. Very good, you guys will be my disciples of Yin and Yang in the future. Now, Ryan and Biha, you two will teach Lan Kuo how to convert energy into Yin and Yang Dao. Billy, go and practice hard and give me a breakthrough as soon as possible. Starry sky level, do you understand? Yes. The four disciples were now a little louder, and the voices that responded together made Jia Yan very satisfied. Seeing that the disciples here, the area under their control, and the entire scale are getting bigger. Jia Yan stood on the top of Yin Yang Peak, looking at the prosperous scene below. He has done a good job. Although his greatest efforts are actually to suppress the forces from all walks of life through his own strength, in general, everything on this planet is him pointing out the specific general policy. In this way, that's how we got to this point without any turmoil. Okay, you go down first. If you want to ask me anything, come back up. Yes. The apprentices were silent one by one, said goodbye, and then left one by one. Jia Yan returned to his small house. Yin Yang sect is finally on the right track. This can be regarded as a good appearance for outside forces, because let's talk about it, but there is a main sect in the central star field of the Milky Way. Haha, it's a pity. The power of Yin Yang sect is still a bit weak for me, I just hope that the speed of expansion can catch up with the speed of improvement of Black Sheep. I have not forgotten the battle with Black Sheep. Jia Yan sneered slightly. You must know that he worked so hard to speed up the repair of injuries and improve his strength. In essence, he still wanted to catch up with the Black Sheep and reach the top of the intermediate galaxy. This has become a magic weapon for him to practice recently. It has reached the advanced stage of repairing the injury. I even feel that my strength has begun to improve. The remaining part of the injury should not be healed so easily, so I will improve my strength while letting the injury get better. This may wait until the Yin Yang sect expands. When the time comes, I will be able to use more supplies to improve to a large extent. Jia Yan's plan was relatively smooth, especially in terms of improving his strength. When the injury was not fully healed, he started to improve his strength. Unexpectedly, there was no impact due to the incomplete recovery of the injury. An improvement in his strength. Now his strength began to slowly increase, and then the injuries on his body gradually improved to a perfect level. He was hunted down by a group of mid-level peak creatures in the galaxy before, causing several large tears on the surface of his body. These tears are the reason why the injury will not be completely healed for a while, at least for a year and a half. Only by doing this can we recover from such an injury. This is because he is an evolved beast. If it were replaced by another strong person, he would probably be left with permanent scars and would not be fully healed. But Jia Yan still has a chance to recover completely. Even if he mutates again, any major injuries will be cured. After all, the whole process of mutation is completely about reshaping the body. Waiting for the next mutation is not the right way, because even I don't know when the next mutation will come. Theoretically, the next mutation may come when I am promoted to a domain master creature, but God knows is that so? So waiting for mutation is a variable. I still have to work hard to repair my physical injuries. Jia Yan was silently licking his wounds, like a huge injured beast, quietly recovering from his injuries, waiting to attack. When Jia Yan began to recover from his injuries and improve his strength, the entire area inside the Yin-Yang sect was completely boiling. Because today, the fourth disciple of Lord Yin-Yang sect is finally released. Although it is not what everyone thought before, this fourth disciple is the strongest person in the semi-star level, but he is also a master at the beginning of the semi-star level, and he is also very talented in subspace. After all, everyone in the Yin-Yang sect felt that this fourth disciple was much stronger than the other three disciples. Of course, I dare not say this in front of the outside world. The emergence of the fourth disciple has caused fierce competition within the entire Yin-Yang sect for the fifth disciple of the Yin-Yang sect master. Because after the four disciples came down from the mountain, they told the Yin-Yang sect master that he was going to open up the place for the fifth disciple. This was a huge inducement. Therefore, a large number of semi-star masters who did not come to participate in this semi-star disciple competition, as well as weak and strong people who think they have good talents and can take a gamble, are gearing up and waiting for the next fifth disciple competition assessment. Of course, everyone knows that the assessment of the fifth disciple should not be coming so soon. After all, the fourth disciple has just been accepted. The Yin-Yang sect master did not teach him to be a little decent, so he hurriedly accepted the fifth disciple. If so, everyone will doubt the disciple's weight. Fortunately, Jia Yan did not do that, and also asked the other three disciples to teach and supervise the cultivation of the fourth disciple, Lan Kuo. He also said that if Lan Kuo practiced well, he would immediately have the opportunity to listen to him. Explain in person. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2080. As soon as Jia Yan said this, everyone realized that Yin-Yang sect master did not just accept disciples casually, but truly train them as disciples. Time fast forwards again. Lan Kuo, you don't know how to do this. We were just a few, but we quickly mastered this method of releasing our energy. Don't blame him too harshly. He is a half-star being, much stronger than us. It is not that simple to release all the half-star power, so just wait. Third junior brother, you always protect him like this. If the future master pursues you, I will tell you. No, Lan Kuo, hurry up and release your strength. Oh, why does it take you so long to release your strength? I heard that other half-star disciples are faster than you. You really won them. Lan Kuo was stared at by the three senior brothers and sisters, and felt bad all over. To be honest, every one of the senior brothers and sisters present was much younger than him, especially the eldest sister. As the eldest sister, she was the youngest, and Lan Kuo's living expenses were much greater than hers. But at this time, these junior children were urging him to exercise, and they were all gearing up, as if they wanted to teach him a lesson. This is a lesson to a half-star powerhouse. How can you usually have such an opportunity? Lan Kuo didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Yes, my power discharging law is not used very well. Senior brothers and sisters, Should I try to enlarge the power discharging opening a little bit? Why magnify it? When Master taught me, he only asked me to magnify it this much. That's right, what Master taught me at that time was even smaller than yours. Why are you so ambitious? These senior brothers and sisters are obviously not very suitable to teach a half-star. They just taught Lan Kuo to drain his own power and then easily convert it into the positive and negative brainwave power of Yin and Yang Dao. They spent enough time. 2 full days. Moreover, many of the things they said in the past 2 days were not so correct, which made Lan Kuo want to go to Yin Yang Peak in person and ask Jia Yan for the truth. Unfortunately, he didn't dare. Jia Yan asked several senior brothers and sisters to teach him, and he thought it was Jia Yan's imperial edict. If he resisted, there was a high probability that he would be scolded by Jia Yan, or even have a bad impression. After all, this is the first process. If this is not done well, then he is likely to be labeled by Jia Yan as having poor talent. In the future, even if his disciple status is not lost, he will be put in cold storage. Lan Kuo didn't want this to happen. I know, I will work hard. Lan Kuo was a little speechless. Senior brothers and sisters, I know everything you said, but I always think that I am a half-star. When I vent my strength, I need more venting points and openings, because you are not strong enough. I am strong, so I don't dare to use such a big way to vent my power. If I want to vent my half-star power in this way, I will have to wait until how many years and months. He was extremely helpless, but he did not dare not listen to the words of the 3 senior brothers and sisters around him. Nonsense, Lan Kuo, use all your strength to release your strength, these guys. Suddenly, Jia Yan's voice came down from the top of Yin Yang Peak, making Lan Kuo almost cry as if he had found some family member. Each of these senior brothers and sisters seemed to want to bully him. Of course he was depressed. Hearing Jia Yan's voice, Billy, Biha, and Ryan jumped up on the spot as if frightened. Haha, Master, we are just following your instructions. Junior brother Lan Kuo, we don't know his specific strength. We are afraid that if he releases his strength too quickly, his body will be damaged. Boom boom boom. The power from the Yin-Yang peak receded like a tide in an instant. It seemed that the owner of this power came down just to say such a sentence. Not long after, the 3 disciples looked at the master on Yin-Yang peak and showed no intention of punishing them. They couldn't help but look at each other and then exhaled. Since Master has spoken in person, I think you are right to do this. Please increase the vent size and give it a try. However, we don't know how much vent size you can use. If you feel uncomfortable, you can do it yourself. Stop. The senior brothers and sisters were not actually harming Lan Kuo, they were really afraid that something would go wrong. Good. Lan Kuo nodded, and then suddenly opened the door with all his strength. Boom boom boom. The 3 senior brothers and sisters around them all had their eyes popping out. Half-star level is half-star level, and the power of catharsis is something they can't imagine. The special thing is Billy. She is relatively weak, and now she is about to be rushed to the sky by the power of catharsis. Fortunately, she still had some strength and flew back to the ground in an instant, just watching from a distance with a look of fear on her face. This is the power of a semi-star level. As a star-level person, I simply cannot imagine such power. Billy originally thought that her talent was pretty good. After all, she had reached the starry sky level in such a short time, but now she saw that in front of a real strong person, her talent was just a joke. Talent was talent, strength was not. It's about strength, talent doesn't mean strength. Besides, her talent can't be said to be that great. Very good. With this feeling, I can finally pour out all my strength in a short period of time. Lan Kuo was very grateful to Jia Yan for speaking up. If it hadn't been for his old man speaking, he might have been dragged down by these senior brothers and sisters until the master was even dissatisfied. Fortunately, he had time now, and he didn't waste too much time in the 2 days, because these 2 days were spent familiarizing himself with the Yin and Yang Dao's special method of releasing power. Vent half and retain the other half. Of course, this retained half will slowly become the exclusive power of Yin and Yang Dao in the future practice. Boom boom. The way a star and a half can express his power is very astonishing. If it weren't for Lan Kuo, he would have been arranged to do this kind of thing in space. After all, doing this on yin-yang star may hurt other people. This is why other semi-star powerhouses practice yin and yang dao in space. After the catharsis is over, they either return to the planet to view the training materials, or practice through remote connections. Only Lan Kuo stayed because Jia Yan told him that he could practice on yin-yang star. With the personal approval of the yin-yang sect master, others will not say anything, and even if there is danger, that adult will be able to solve it easily. Boom boom boom. In the sky, everything was changing. A star and a half star was practicing on an asteroid with a diameter of 1 or 2,000 kilometers. This kind of movement was naturally shocking. Moreover, when he was unloading his strength, there was still an astonishing brainwave power that spread out on the planet. At this time, the faces of the smart people on the entire planet changed slightly and began to silently absorb this power. The power itself has no attributes, and with the help of some super powerful people, they cannot harm anyone on the planet, so they become excellent absorbents. Hey, big, senior sister, hurry up and absorb this power. It can actually be absorbed by outsiders like us. Suddenly, Ryan, who was guarding Lan Kuo, changed his expression and quickly passed by the 2 senior sisters and brothers beside him. What? Let me see, it's really like this. Master must have helped, hurry up and absorb it. When Biha heard this, he felt ecstatically. You know, he has average cultivation talent. If there is such an external help, his chances of further advancement may be even greater. This is even more true for Billy. She has just reached the starry sky level, and her talent is even enough to support her progress for a while. So for Billy, she can still unscrupulously swallow some external power for her own improvement, and there will be no consequences of progressing too quickly. So the 3 brothers and sisters all began to madly devour the ownerless power from Lan Kuo. On top of Yin Yang Peak, Jia Yan looked at the smart people on the entire planet indifferently. Fortunately, these disciples are not stupid, otherwise all their power would have been devoured by others. Let's see how I teach them a lesson later. Yes, Jia Yan helped smooth the dissipation of energy. Under normal circumstances, it is very difficult for other people's power to be absorbed by other strong people. But after Jia Yan helped smooth this power in an instant, it becomes a relatively peaceful force, and then it can be absorbed by others. Even if it is difficult to digest, this kind of power obtained for no reason from the outside world is also a huge wealth. Jia Yan saw that several disciples were absorbing it very comfortably, and immediately smiled, and then made a mental calculation, whether to arrange the conversion of other semi-star level experts to yin-yang star. But after thinking about it, he rejected this idea. Similar energy absorption is okay for a person once in a while, but if it continues like this for 10 years, it will have a great impact on the body and future. So it can only be done once. Of course, absorption is secondary. Get used to Lan Kuo's ability to switch quickly. For a long time to come, the reputation of the Yin-Yang sect will depend on him. Jia Yan silently observed Lan Kuo's transformation. This conversion lasted for 5 days. After all, it would take several days for ordinary creatures to process. Even if Jia Yan himself is assisting a star and a half star, he still has to rely on himself, so his transformation speed is not very fast. In 5 days, only then is the complete conversion completed. Buzz. Between heaven and earth, the last escaping power disappeared in an instant. Gone. Ah, Fourth junior brother, have you finished the transformation? No, I'm really happy for you. Billy was the first to react. She gained the most from this absorption. Because her strength was low and her talent was pretty good, the absorption effect was much better than others. Her strength was so strong that she was almost going to die. Entering the first stage in the starry sky. Oh, senior sister, what are you doing? Lan Kuo had just come back to his senses and saw the three senior brothers and sisters guarding him. He was originally very moved, but seeing how reluctant they were to let him finish his training, he instantly understood what was going on. How dare these senior brothers and sisters actually swallow my energy? Alas, this is the land of yin-yang section. If you look at the power of other strong men in the outside world, you are simply seeking death. Fortunately, the transformation has been basically completed. In fact, I only vented half of my power. Fortunately, there were no accidents during the process. There were a few dangerous situations in the process, but Master helped me solve them. As he spoke, he arched his hands towards Yin-Yang Peak. He knew that even if the Master didn't say anything, he would have seen these actions. Okay, now that you have converted your power, let's teach you the basics of Onmyodo, and then you can slowly replenish your power. Now you have consumed half of your power, and you have to use various abilities quickly for the remaining half. The amount must be replenished, otherwise permanent losses will be caused. Billy is a bit of a grown-up, and when she talks to Lan Kuo, she looks very old-fashioned. Okay, thank you senior sister for your guidance. Then you can teach me and I will see if I can learn it. Lan Kuo's face became serious. He knew that none of his senior brothers and sisters knew how difficult his next step would be. Maybe other senior brothers and sisters had an easier time getting through it because they were not strong, but as a half-star, he fully understood the next process will be more difficult, because he is much stronger than others, and it is not that simple to make up for it. Of course, the specifics still depend on what kind of yin and yang dao it is. If it can absorb any energy, it will be much simpler. Facts have proved that Lan Kuo thought too much. What? Can our yin and yang dao really be able to absorb most of the power for our own use? Is this really something Master created? That's natural. Master's greatness is beyond our imagination. Start now. Lan Kuo took a deep look at Billy, who looked proud, then suppressed his shock and silently absorbed the energy and materials around him. As long as he absorbs energy, his strength will be restored to half-star level as much as possible. Of course, this requires a lot of attention. If Jia Yan is not around, these senior brothers and sisters will not dare to operate. There is a high probability that something went wrong. But as a half-star Lan Kuo, the turmoil in his heart at this moment was extremely intense. Because he is at half-star level, he is different from his brothers and sisters who are less than half-star level around him. He has high strength and can see further. He knew that it was impossible for a star-level existence to create yin-yang dao. There is only a very high possibility. Master, he is not a star. Gudu. Thinking of this possibility, Lan Kuo swallowed a mouthful of saliva. He was glad that he didn't go crazy because of such a guess. He quickly put aside all his thoughts and continued his practice. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2081. No matter what the Master's strength is, the Master is now his Master. As long as he doesn't do anything to disgrace his Master, the Master will definitely not give up on him. If it was really the person with the strength that was guessed, then he would have made it happen. Lan Kuo said he didn't want to think about it, but when he kept practicing, such thoughts came up, and his nose became sore, because he felt that he had wasted half his life to encounter such an adventure. This was simply a big mistake in life. Flip. Although he is not sure whether the old Master is that kind of existence, but the probability is too high, because a star-level existence, how can it be possible to develop such a perfect technique? If so, he, Lan Kuo, would definitely rise with the tide and become a being above all others. No wonder, Master managed to clear this area easily, and his eyes were not only paying attention here, but also seeing farther away, because he is that kind of powerful person. Without strength as a guarantee, how could he dare to be so arrogant? He, no wonder, many things can be figured out as soon as you think about it. After all, he was a half-star. Lan Kuo's mind turned quickly and he suddenly figured out why this master, in this land of stars, did not care about all the strong men and ruled like flying. This starry sky. I understand. Master has never set his sights on this starry sky. His goal is somewhere else. Lan Kuo was probably used to the distracted way of thinking, but he didn't know that his distraction was actually seen by the master sitting cross-legged on Yin Yang Peak. Oh, not only the multidimensional space, but also the way of multidimensional thinking are a bit like me. Unfortunately, each of them is not very talented. At most, it can be regarded as a low-end version of me. But since he is so like me, it doesn't matter. It can be regarded as his creation, he. Jia Yan was originally somewhat dissatisfied with this disciple, because his subspace talent, let alone compared to his own, was much weaker than most of the subspace talent creatures he had seen. According to Jia Yan, in Yan's mind, this guy's future subspace avenue, even if he is trained to the galaxy level, he may never be able to enter the 9th subspace. 8 degrees are enough. With such subdimensional talent, when Jia Yan thought about it carefully yesterday, he felt a little regretful that he had given up his status as a disciple too early. But thinking about it again, which of the other 3 disciples would be so promising? Apart from anything else, Jia Yan was more optimistic about Billy, but Jia Yan was confident that he would train her to the highest star level. This Lan Kuo even thought of going to the galaxy level, so what else could he be dissatisfied with? Maybe it's too much like myself. Now it is discovered that his multi-line thinking ability is similar to his own, which makes Jia Yan a little helpless. He feels that this guy is underestimating himself too much. But this can be regarded as teaching him something real. Whether he can hit the stars in the future depends on his destiny. Okay, we will deal with their affairs in 2 days. How to teach them will be discussed in the future. In the past 2 days, I feel that my body has upward momentum again. It is probably because after devouring so much power, my body, now that you are in a state of cultivation again, you can give it a try, continue to increase your brainwave power. Jia Yan has been looking forward to practicing. He was injured, and it took him more than 2 months to be able to practice again. Although the injury was almost the same, it still had a certain impact, but he was not prepared to wait any longer. If he waited any longer, it might be Black Sheep has already reached the Domain Lord level. Black Sheep's strength is lower than that of the Territory Lord. He has been stuck for many years. Although he was stuck for so long before, it was because he did not go to the Galaxy Central Star Territory. Now that he has come to the Galaxy Central Star Territory, the resources here with the support, he will be promoted within a few years. If you want to say who has made the greatest progress in the central star field of the galaxy, I guess that apart from the Zerg Queen and me, he will be considered a relatively big one, or even so far, it is unknown whether my gains are as great as his. After all, I have encountered too many battles in the central star field of the Milky Way, and it is really difficult to get along here. Actually, thinking back on it, Jia Yan feels that the central star territory of the galaxy is really not that easy to mess around with. How long has he been here, and he has fought so many territory lords and creatures at the top of the middle level of the galaxy? It feels like he is. Those who come here to fight, practice, etc. are all trying to catch up, forcing him to use limited time to improve all his strength. Perhaps the next period will be a relatively peaceful period of cultivation for me. 2 years, I will give myself 2 years. After these 2 years, I will definitely come out of seclusion and look for the Zerg Queen, because in 2 years, the Zerg Queen's force they are probably no longer where they are. After I find them, I will have to fight the Black Sheep. Of course, I have to make sure that he has not been promoted successfully in the past 2 years. After Jia Yan thought about it, he felt that his time was quite tight. And the biggest problem is that he wants to practice steadily for 2 years, but the cultivation resources for these 2 years must be provided by the Yin-Yang section. However, the territory that the Yin-Yang sect has established now is not enough to support him as a mid-level galaxy being. If he expands his territory, what will happen to his cultivation? So the question is here, what should I do to ensure the expansion of the Yin-Yang sect while cultivating myself, and also to prevent the local galaxy-level creatures from interfering in the affairs of my Yin-Yang sect? Jia Yan was very distressed. And when Jia Yan was distressed, something reminded him of it. This is a friendly communication message sent to the Yin-Yang sect by the galaxy-level person who escaped from the Yin-Yang sect's territory. Oh? You actually asked me to maintain friendly business relations with them, and even mentioned other galaxy-class ones. Jia Yan was a little stunned, and his first instinctive reaction was that after this guy went back, he must have solicited opinions from the galaxy level further away, and he might have encouraged others about the danger of the Yin-Yang sect and asked them to come and attack the Yin-Yang sect. Jia Yan instinctively understood that this message should be some kind of message to tell the Yin-Yang sect not to act rashly for the time being. There is a high probability that what was hidden behind this information was that the primary being of the galaxy went to find people to talk about the dangers of the Yin-Yang sect, and asked others to come and attack the Yin-Yang section. He would definitely not dare to come again. But during this process, the Yin-Yang sect cannot be aware of anything, or even if it is noticed, there cannot be too many changes, so what should we do? As long as we develop a good relationship with us, he will even agree to some of my requests. A flash of excitement flashed through Jia Yan's heart. Since this guy is so good, wouldn't it be disrespectful to him if I don't take advantage of this? Investigate for me which direction this galaxy-level friends lair is, as well as their resources, annual tax revenue, and main trading partners there, etc. I want to do it as well as possible, and as fast as possible. Give me. Yes. Within the Yin-Yang sect, it has also established its own intelligence department. Although it still uses the previous Ulan Star department, the personnel have been upgraded to a higher level, and they are experts from all over the planets. So after they received Jia Yan's order, they quickly launched operations, and then pieces of intelligence came to Jia Yan from various places. It didn't take long for Jia Yan to have a general sense of the galaxy-level territorial forces. Oh, it is indeed a relatively peaceful star field. Even a galaxy level is willing to let go of control in many aspects. The main enterprises he controls are in energy and people's livelihood. However, it seems fair, but he controls these alone control such a large area of the starry sky. Jia Yan can see that the star field is relatively fair, but a galaxy-level being is still beyond fairness. The scope of this galaxy-level influence is almost his alone. There are few creatures that can compete with him. He competes for interests, so the biggest interests in the starry sky next door are indeed taken away by him, and because he doesn't have to worry about the life and death of other interests, the interests he can grab are not much less than simply harvesting a big starry sky. This is a bit like the relationship between state-owned enterprises and private enterprises. If they occupy that starry sky, then there will be no private enterprises in that starry sky, and then the vitality of development will be low, and that starry sky will not have such high income. His gains will not be high. I think I can kind of see what the strong people in this star field think, but they probably never thought that after creating such a peaceful star field, their combat effectiveness would actually be so great. If it has become so low, is this not worth the loss? Jia Yan is considered a smart person, and he quickly sees through the good and bad of the star field where he is now. However, similar things are just something to think about. Jia Yan started to formulate a plan after thinking about it for a long time. He wants to make use of this basic central idea of this galaxy-level being, who is temporarily unwilling to engage in friction, to gain his own interests as much as possible. Yes, since the other party needs time to contact more powerful people and even form a coalition, Jia Yan will take advantage of his temporary unwillingness to start friction with the Yin-Yang sect and face the Yin-Yang sect alone to take care of most of the needs first. Hey, this guy doesn't want to fight with me, so let's do it. I'll use a few clones to scare him to death even if he doesn't fight. Let these clones be responsible for 2 transactions with them, and suppress the big crowd. Some of the interests require minerals to be traded for commodities. Although he must understand that I am blackmailing him, he will never dare to start a war because he has to take the overall situation into consideration. As for how long this time can be delayed, Jia Yan is not worried. Forming a coalition is a very big event, not to mention that we still need to convince other galaxy-level beings. Presumably, that galaxy-level powerhouse, in order to avoid any accidents, would definitely want a few more galaxy-level people to take action, and this time would definitely take more than 2 years. 2 years later? If he has a chance, he has reached the peak of the middle level of the galaxy. Who in this star field can stop him? After thinking about this, Jia Yan suddenly felt that someone gave him a pillow when he was sleeping. That galaxy-level creature was really his lucky star. Okay, let's do this and start the first transaction tomorrow. What? Your Yin-Yang sect wants to trade with us. It's your Yin-Yang sect's pastoral luxury goods. The price is so high. On the 3rd day, at the edge of the Yin-Yang sect, at the junction of forces less than 5 million kilometers away from the galaxy-level forces, a creature from the Yin-Yang sect obediently sent a trade request. This border creature of the Yin-Yang sect was the frontier guard of the previous force, but because his force was far away from the galaxy-level forces, he was usually bullied miserably here. So today, when he saw this trade request message from a high-level official, he felt frightened, fearing that he would be killed by the other party because of this message. I know, I will report it properly. Unexpectedly, after reading the message, the half-star guardian of the opponent actually swallowed his anger and turned back to a small planet where they were guarding. Are you going to let me go if that's the case? The border guard from the Yin-Yang sect is a venerable level person. Seeing the half-star level in front of him leaving, he was a little stunned. Is the other party such a reasonable being? He has been here for so many years, how come he doesn't know? It doesn't matter whether he knows it or not, but when this trade request is sent to the galaxy level, the other party definitely knows that the Yin-Yang sect is trying to cause trouble. You actually use that small planet whose name you have never heard of, the so-called local product, to ask for something of high value? This Yin-Yang sect actually dares to be so bold. When that galaxy-level being received the trade request, it was only on the 2nd day that the transmission speed was fast enough. But when he got this request, he felt it was better to wait a few more days and see it later, which would make his head hurt for a few days. This must be something from the hands of Yin-Yang. If I refuse, will he start a war on the starry sky that I control? Although I have already contacted other galactic levels and agreed on an offensive and defensive alliance. But no one knows whether they will come to support me, or whether they will use words that I am not ready to say. Seeing as this is a handmade luxury product, the quantity is not large, so, just follow his request. Anyway, I can sell some of it. In the end, he endured such an unreasonable and unequal trade request. Not long after, as if they had been waiting for it for a long time, a steady stream of merchant ships at the border began to transport luxury handicrafts into the territory of the galaxy-level powerhouses. As for the value of this handicraft, when the group of Yin-Yang sect leaders who transported it knew about it, he almost didn't scare himself out of a heart attack. Damn it, are the indigenous handicrafts here in our starry sky so valuable? Fortunately, I didn't damage these handicrafts, otherwise I wouldn't be able to afford the compensation if I sold out all the merchant ships. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2082. The other party's receiver took over the handicraft as if he had eaten something, and then paid a large amount of high-energy ore. Fortunately, this transaction is only once a month, otherwise it would be really painful. Fortunately, all the people from the galaxy-level forces are in such a happy moment. Another trade request from the Yin-Yang sect was sent to this galaxy-level force. What? Did you dig up top-grade craft stones this time? Isn't this a common colored stone on the planet? It's a commonly used decoration in ordinary homes over there. What's the price for this? No, this is definitely not a colored stone. Look at the pattern, it is absolutely different from a colored stone. This has been personally certified by my Yin-Yang sect master. It should be the top decorative object in our starry sky in the universe. You see, the price is not expensive, it's only 100 times more expensive than colored stones. It's really not expensive. How much? 100 times, why don't you go? When things like colored stones were shamelessly put on the trading table, the galaxy-level powerful businessman in the border trade almost couldn't help shouting, "Why don't you go and grab it?" But he still held back his words. No words were spoken. Because there was a reminder from above that this Yin-Yang sect force was not allowed to be provoked, let alone offended, for the time being, so he did not dare. This requires me to communicate with the superiors. You guys wait. The border trader immediately rejected the transaction and asked the Yin-Yang sect people to wait. Our Yin-Yang sect's business is very good. If you keep us waiting for too long, maybe our Yin-Yang sect master will be angry. The half-star creature of the Yin-Yang sect who was in charge of the transaction seemed to have been inspired by someone, and his attitude was extremely tough. Okay, wait, I'll give you the answer right away. The half-star powerhouse who contacted him did not dare to show any hostility at all. After all, the mission above was not nonsense. At least the Yin-Yang sect, a close neighbor, must have some skills, otherwise their power would not be able to tolerate the Yin-Yang sect. Except. This is good, I understand. Not long after, the half-star returned to the trading place with strange eyes. As we said above, this is indeed not a colored stone, but an excellent decoration that has not been discovered. We took it all for 100 times the price. Haha, this is great. Thank you for your support. Our Yin-Yang sect will definitely develop better products to sell to you in the future. The half-star powerhouse of the Yin-Yang sect flew away, feeling extremely proud in his heart. Do you see it? I am a star and a half, but I actually threaten forces with galaxy-level existences. I am simply terrible. He has finally earned back his fortune in this life. The other half-stars who dare not come after hearing about this mission must be envious to death. But what this half-star powerhouse didn't know was that the Yin-Yang sect's similar mission was not just this one. After the first two crab-eating beings finished what they had done before, they were almost completely different from this kind of mission. Tasks of the same nature appeared quickly, one after another, one after another. Are you asking us to buy the unique fish produced on your asteroid? Wasn't this fish wholesaled from our forces last year? What? After being nourished by the unique minerals of your asteroid, the price of this fish has skyrocketed 200 times. Are you serious? This plant has the effect of improving the strength of the strong? Can it be exchanged for the price of a forest? The border traders of the galaxy-level forces discovered increasingly outrageous events. Every time a strong man from the Yin-Yang sect came, they would be asked to purchase some so-called unique products. If they don't purchase, colder words will come from the mouths of these strong men of the Yin-Yang sect. He even directly threatened to start a war. Isn't this the same as forced buying and selling? It's simply unbearable. Could it be that a small yin-yang sect dares to bully a galaxy-level force? This small yin-yang sect must be too courageous. Also, the top leaders of the galaxy-level forces actually detained these border merchants layer by layer to prevent them from conflicting with the yin-yang section, but if this continues, the yin-yang sect will push forward even further, and they are still doing a ghost business, and the entire force it's going to collapse. Every one of the merchants from the galaxy-level forces is looking forward to a counter-attack from above. Finally, one day, an extremely terrifying strong man came to this borderland. This is a stellar being. I already know about your affairs. Your Excellency recently said that he was going to retreat. He has also heard about the excesses of the yin-yang section. It's just that your Excellency has no time to manage the matter personally, so he asked me to come over and take a look at the situation. The face of this stellar powerhouse was extremely ugly. In fact, he knew that it was not without reason that his master was unwilling to manage this matter. But after he was appointed, he didn't care. Ever since, this stellar powerhouse has been managing the place relatively hard. Although he knows that even a star-level person doesn't want to care about, or even dares not to care about, things that he can't get involved with, but as a star-level person, he naturally has his own arrogance and faces it. It's that little country starry sky, how could he have the slightest idea of giving in? In the starry sky opposite, at least until now, I have only found one person who is suspected of being a star, and that is Yin Yang. Hey, does this Yin Yang have some big background? It actually makes the adults in my family not want to care about him. It's okay, since if he is a star, I dare to take care of him. A star-level expert, after investigating the affairs of the yin-yang starry sky, always feels that the matters in the yin-yang starry sky are not a big deal at all. He came from a star level and was able to manage them clearly. Originally, there were several star-level stars in that starry sky, and it was said that some of them were secretly controlled by my master. Unfortunately, the yin-yang sect rose up and killed and drove away those who were killed by the ever-breath level. Then the starry sky belonged to the yin-yang sect. I killed two, or should I use his apprentice? I need to be on guard for this, but I'm not in a direct conflict with yin-yang. I'm just here to see our deal. He won't do it casually. Then come here in person and kill me, right? Seeing the fate of the two constant breath level beings, this stellar level being was also shocked. Although he was confident that his strength was good, he never thought that he could remotely control the body with just his magic weapon or something. Killing two stars in one blow made him very afraid. As for another star-level powerhouse in the yin-yang starry sky, this star-level man had some rumors that he was dead. As for where he died, he didn't know. He only knew that it was related to the leader of his own force. Maybe he died on some battlefield. He couldn't care that much about galaxy-level matters. In short, in the starry sky opposite, there is only one extremely powerful yin-yang section. Even this yin-yang sect has displayed the characteristics of the indigenous people, that is, if unruly people appear in a desperate place, they will have their influence. I must think that there are too many things happening to the galaxy class in our force, and we will not care about their small transactions. But in fact, their forced buying and selling have already caused heavy losses in our force. If this continues, maybe it will provoke us galaxy-level adults to take action. Humph, I will not fight with them this time, I will only explain the stakes to them clearly. If they still dare to ask us to buy anything, then it is not our fault. This coming stellar powerhouse felt that he was here to pity the indigenous creatures. Not long after, the arrival of this star was heard by many merchants from their galaxy-level forces here. Everyone sighed that their own power was so good, and they sent a star to come in one breath. Is simply their great blessing. But the problem is that the yin-yang sect, who seemed to have heard the news, suddenly stopped for several days and no one came to buy or sell by force. It has always been a relatively normal transaction, and people here thought for a while that without any special actions, the Yin-Yang sect would not dare to cause trouble again. But what I never expected was that on the fifth day, when all the stellar experts here wanted to leave and go home, another large group of merchant ships came from the Yin-Yang sect. Hello everyone, we are the merchant ship of the Yin-Yang section. There are several ships of goods here, all of which are high-value items from the past. Please help us buy them back. The merchant ship this time carried hundreds of times as much cargo as before. If it was just an act of forced buying and selling before, this time it was simply causing their entire force to bleed. Damn it! People of the Yin-Yang sect, do you know what you are doing? Our power is something you can blackmail? Don't seek your own death. After the star-level being in the opponent's force knew about this, he was about to explode. Every time, their forces used their own strength to crush other forces. Unexpectedly, this time it was the other way around. The forces of the Yin-Yang sect were so bold. They came to a galaxy-level force like them and wanted to buy and sell by force. Okay, at this scale, just grab it, okay. Oh. Your Excellency, you have already received our colored stones and other materials last time. You are very clear about the value of these materials, right? You didn't expect the price you estimated last time. Don't you want to admit it this time? Going back on your word is not a big deal. Good trading concept. There was a faint voice coming from the approaching Yin-Yang sect merchant ship. Damn it, what do you mean by the price we estimated last time? That was what your Yin-Yang sect forcefully sold to us, okay. To actually accuse us of going back on our word is simply too deceiving. Does your Yin-Yang sect want to destroy it? That star-level existence couldn't bear this moment anymore. In this universe, you are the one who is stronger than the other. If I am stronger, I will be the king. I didn't expect that the Yin-Yang sect, which is obviously a newly rising indigenous force, dared to come up and find a force with a galaxy-level powerhouse like them. Trouble, isn't it because you want to die? Although he also knew that the other party should have something to rely on, he refused to admit that the other party had the ability to deal with a galaxy level. So he dared to stand up. This stellar powerhouse flew directly out of the trading planet and stared fiercely at the approaching Yin-Yang sect fleet. Ha ha ha, Your Excellency, do you really think that our Yin-Yang sect is selling by force? Very good, our Yin-Yang sect is a very disciplined force, but if your force wants to discredit us, there is nothing we can do. Although the force is dominated by galaxy-level powerhouses, but our Yin-Yang sect has no other factions, we are just one-headed force. Since the other forces are oppressed by force, it's no wonder we are the ones to blame. The person speaking to the other party was getting colder and colder, as if he still wanted to take action. Humph, my friend, if you actually said such words directly, your Yin-Yang sect master will definitely push you out to stop the crime. You know the truth. It's not too late to take back what you said now. The stellar star stared coldly at the place where the words were spoken. Buzz. There, a figure slowly appeared. Intermediate stellar level. The star-level powerhouse from the galaxy-level force here looked at him coldly and felt that the opponent's strength was no more than that, and he suddenly smiled. But when he turned around, he was slightly shocked. Because according to the rumors, there is only one star-level person in the Yin-Yang sect's power, but this one seems to be a monkey-like creature, not like the Yin-Yang in all the previous rumors. Appearance. Then, are these other star levels of the Yin-Yang sect? Damn it, no one knows such huge information? This star-level powerhouse suddenly became a little depressed. His own manual intelligence department was so stupid that he didn't even investigate this clearly. The enemy is more than one star. The face of this stellar powerhouse suddenly changed a bit. There is more than one star-level force, and there is a sect master who can kill star-level people just by giving people magic weapons. So this force. It is indeed a bit arrogant, But, do you think that this little thing is enough to deal with the power of a galaxy-level commander? Haha, we will make you feel desperate. This stellar powerhouse suddenly felt that the fear in his heart suddenly diminished when he thought about the background and confidence of his family's power. So what if you are crazy? So no matter how strong Yin Yang is, could he still dare to kill a star-level powerhouse like me who comes from a galaxy-level force? Then it will immediately start a war. Your Excellency, well, since you have shown up, now sit down and talk about the value of these goods. We cannot accept the price you are offering, so sit down and talk. This stellar powerhouse is quite repressive. After all, the Yin-Yang sect on the other side has always felt a little weird. When he came, he had seen the speed and time of the rise of this force, which made him feel a slight sense of panic. So no matter how confident he was at this time, he would not dare to start the war directly. No. Unexpectedly, the star-level monkey-like creature that appeared on the other side actually refused directly and coldly when he said relatively restrained words. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2083. No. Didn't you say you want to destroy our Yin-Yang sect? That's good. Your forces want to deal with our Yin-Yang sect with force, and our Yin-Yang sect has no choice but to resist with force. Puff. This stellar monkey-like creature actually took action. Varied. The star-level powerhouse on the side of the galaxy-level force is also an intermediate-level star being. When he heard the words of the monkey creature, he felt stunned for an instant. And before he could react, the monkey creature's fist was already enlarged in front of his eyes. So fast. The last thought of this mid-level stellar creature was just that. Then, there was only an earth-shaking loud noise, and the world swayed for a long time. Wait until things get back to normal again. In the world, there is a headless monster corpse. A mid-level stellar being from a galaxy-level force was killed by this monkey-like stellar-level powerhouse from the Yin-Yang sect with one strike. They just said that, but this monkey-like creature actually took action directly. This is simply unreasonable. But even if this is unreasonable, it is still the greatest truth, because in this universe, power is truth, and in the face of power, everything is useless. You, the Yin-Yang sect, actually dare to kill my master? Aren't you afraid of the wrath of our galaxy-level master? Behind the dead star-level creature, there was his subordinate. At this time, when the subordinate saw that the master he served actually died like this, he was so frightened that he was not so panicked. He screamed and started verbal threats. After all, they died of a stellar star, which was a big deal, but this stellar being was just an intermediate star, and the opponent was also an intermediate star. He was able to take advantage of his master's unpreparedness and strike with one blow. Killing his own master is not something worthy of praise at all. He even wondered whether he should hold the other party responsible for the sneak attack. However, thinking that the opponent dared to kill even a mid-level star, and he was only half-star level, there was definitely nothing he wouldn't dare to do, so he didn't speak so aggressively. Oh? Did your galaxy-level master, he didn't say anything? That's fine, just don't say it if you don't want to. You go back and talk to your master about whether you want this batch of goods or not. Call my galaxy-level master to come and tell me. You are still thinking about selling things in this situation? It's too much to bully others. After hearing the words of this monkey-like creature, the half-star creature felt that he had heard the most unbelievable thing in the world, and was so angry that he almost wanted to spurt blood. Are you really planning to say what you said before to a galaxy-level being? Don't you think this is a bit too big and rebellious? To say such words to a galaxy-level being, Isn't it clear that you want to declare war? You are dead, yin-yang sect, yin-yang, and you will definitely bear the wrath of my family. You are dead. That half-star was about to spit out fire. Haha, you don't need to take care of whether it's dead or not. Anyway, just bring these words to your adults. The monkey-like creature sneered, and seemed to reveal a hint of disdain. Let's go back. Let me let this group of yin and yang sects who don't know the heights of heaven and earth know what hell is. The half-star creature turned around and left. In fact, he had wanted to leave for a long time, but now he had to keep up appearances. Fortunately, the monkey-like creatures here had no intention of chasing them, which immediately made him let out a long sigh of relief. Hurry up, let's send the news back now. Your Excellency will come after hearing the news. You may arrive in 3 days at the earliest. Then these people from the yin-yang sect will definitely die without a burial place. This half-star powerhouse was already thinking about what kind of face that monkey-like creature would use to beg for mercy. He is a star class, but he dares to be disrespectful to a galaxy class. I have never seen such a stubborn person. This half-star contacted the top of his power, that is, the galaxy-level creature. The top-level ultra-long-distance communication technology is already very developed in the central star field of the Milky Way, so the two parties can communicate with each other almost without any hindrance. Is that what the other party said? That's right, sir. When they killed our stellar lord, they actually said extremely insulting words to you. I think they were definitely not dead. Then, they looked good, and they even asked me to ask you, are we going to buy the goods they brought this time? We are just fools, so we are buying nothing. After establishing contact with the galaxy-level being, the half-star level creature immediately started cursing. Even if the monkey creature didn't say anything, he said it in a more exaggerated way. But what made him a little depressed and surprised was that when he finished saying all this and contacted the galaxy-level creatures over there, he actually fell silent. Okay, I understand what you are talking about. Let's do this. Don't conflict with the star-level creatures of the yin-yang section then, you will accept their goods and pay their price. The words that the galaxy-level creature said after being silent made the half-star level creatures here feel as if the sky was falling. What? Sir, what you just said is that we bought their goods and we didn't investigate the death of our stellar powerhouse. That's right, do you understand? If you don't understand, I can change someone else to do what you did. I understand. Okay, I will do as you say. Okay, my attitude will be better. Yes. When he put down the communication, the half-star creature felt that his worldview had completely collapsed. Because he thought that his master would be furious, and then immediately set off to come to this starry sky to teach the yin-yang sect a lesson, and even destroy the yin-yang sect in one breath. He also thought that his master would use some harsh words to make everyone in the yin-yang sect kneel down and beg for mercy. But I never thought that my own galaxy-level master would be so decisive. You don't hold the other party responsible for killing the stellar warrior on your side, and then, you buy several large ships of their supplies at the slaughter price the other party said. What is going on? It seems that the other party is at the galaxy level and our side is at the stellar level. Is it necessary to be so submissive? At this moment, this half-star powerful creature felt that his worldview had completely disappeared. He even felt that this world was no longer his original world. After all, the original world was the majestic galaxy. How could a super strong man be submissive to a star? The conflict between the yin-yang sect and the galaxy-level forces is seen by many parties. Even the small forces or small planet alliances around are secretly paying attention to what is going on here. It is rare for everyone to see a conflict between a galaxy-level powerhouse and an emerging force. After all, any force that is not a fool will not provoke a galaxy-level powerhouse. But the yin-yang sect knew that there were tigers in the mountains, so they chose to go to the Tiger Mountains. Not only were they provoked, but they were provoked in such a way that it was as if the galaxy level would definitely have no way to deal with them. Actually buying and selling to that galaxy level force? This is simply a lifeless move. Every high-ranking official who was watching secretly felt that the Yin-Yang sect was a fool's force. That's all before. Even if the power of the galaxy-level powerhouse suffered a small loss, for the sake of the overall situation, there was a certain possibility that they would kill the person in charge of border trade from the Yin-Yang sect. But this time it was different. The Yin-Yang sect came to a star-level powerhouse who had never shown up before, and this star-level powerhouse actually killed a star-level powerhouse from the galaxy-level powerhouse. This is completely different from the previous petty fights. If one of them is not good, maybe the galaxy-level powerhouse will send a large army to wipe out the starry sky force that the Yin-Yang sect has just established. Of course, the matter has nothing to do with these small forces or planetary alliances. They just need to stand aside and wait to watch the show. But the problem is that they who watched the show never thought that the winner would be the Yin-Yang sect. After all, that was a galaxy-level force. A galactic-level power, not to mention the terrifying power behind him. Just saying that this galaxy-level strongman himself, in this starry sky, can be said to be wind and rain, except for those with the same galactic-level strength the big shot came out, otherwise he would be sure that no one could threaten him, and it would be impossible for him to bow his head and admit defeat. But the impossible happened. What? The Yin-Yang sect's goods, the goods were really transported to the power of the galaxy-level adults. Did you read that correctly? How is this possible? Is that gentleman really interested in these goods? Is there something wrong with our vision? It can't be that there is something wrong with our vision. Last time, I sent someone to get a batch of this kind of goods out. At first glance, they were all garbage. The value is not to mention the price of a galaxy-level adult, even if it is in ours it's no different than rags. Then, what's going on? How could that adult agree to such a deal? Who is the Yin-Yang sect? Why do even the galaxy level give in to them? Or is there some shady deal behind this? Yes, there must be a shady deal, otherwise how could the Yin-Yang sect get a galaxy level to admit defeat? Galaxy level, they can kill us with one breath. When the results of the transaction were heard by the surrounding power leaders, everyone was shocked in all directions. Because they never expected that the junk items sold by the Yin-Yang sect could actually be sold, and at 100 times their original value. This kind of thing is like an unequal treaty. No powerful force would be willing to sign it, right? But luckily, a galaxy-level person signed it. This is simply the most earth-shattering event in the entire starry sky recently. All the forces were searching around for answers, wanting to know what methods the Yin-Yang sect used to actually get such a terrifying galaxy-level force to admit their goods. And there was no conflict. Even from the information sent by the spies, it seemed that the half-star creature that signed the treaty with the Yin-Yang sect looked completely humiliated. This shows what the Yin-Yang sect has really done to make the power of the galaxy-level power so mute that they eat Coptus chinensis and cannot tell the story of their sufferings. The entire starry sky was in chaos. Everyone was whispering and ready to move, trying to understand what the Yin-Yang sect had done. But in fact, everyone in the Yin-Yang sect or the galaxy-level powerhouse seemed to have a tacit understanding on this matter. Everyone kept silent, and it seemed impossible to find out any information about the situation. However, the Yin-Yang sect still has some contact with the outside world, especially certain transactions, which must be carried out, and many of the old people involved in transactions have done transactions with the outside world before, so the friends these people have made came to ask. At that time, they still hesitated and gave a little bit of information. Then, like a plague, this information spread throughout the starry sky. This information is that the Yin-Yang sect may have a trump card that threatens the galaxy level. This is also the reason why the opponent's galaxy level powerhouse does not come forward at all. After all, if a war breaks out and the yin-yang sect uses that trump card, the other party's life will be lost. What's the benefit of guarding one's own interests? As for the yin-yang sect, there must be some restrictions otherwise they would definitely not be so low-key. That's right, after knowing that the yin-yang sect has the means to threaten the galaxy level, all the forces and people in the starry sky think that the yin-yang sect is too low-key now. With such means, one would normally have launched a challenge to the galaxy class long ago. It would also be good to look for other galaxy classes with weaknesses. But unfortunately, the current yin-yang sect is dormant under the influence of the yin-yang sect and doesn't seem to want to do anything. Very low-key. If it weren't for this conflict, which made everyone know that yin-yang zone is actually capable of threatening a galaxy level, other forces would probably bully yin-yang zone in the future. They might not have expected that such a low-key force could actually will have the ability to threaten galaxy-level powerhouses. Although I don't know what this thing is, as long as I have it, regardless of whether it can really kill the galaxy level, then this thing will be like a half-star powerhouse in this starry sky. There was an uproar in the entire starry sky, and everyone was speculating that this thing was probably some kind of explosive weapon, or a magic weapon of some strong man. After all, apart from these, it can only be said that the yin-yang sect has strong men who can rival galaxy-level existences. However, although some people are vaguely thinking about this, no one is willing to admit it. Who would be able to feel at ease when there is a strong man equivalent to half a galaxy level next to him? But they don't know that the most reluctant guess is often the most correct. In the yin-yang sect, there are indeed existences that are comparable to the galaxy level, and they are not just comparable. He is a mid-level strong man from the galaxy. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2084. However, no one, no matter the master of the galaxy-level force or the top leaders of all the small forces around him, knew that the yin-yang in the yin-yang sect was actually a mid-level galaxy creature. No one even knows that the identity of yin and yang is fake. Therefore, amidst the divergent opinions, although no one in the yin-yang sect said that there is a galaxy-level powerhouse, everyone secretly feels that the yin-yang sect must have means to threaten or deal with galaxy-level beings. As a result, everyone in the surrounding starry sky began to be in awe of the yin-yang sect. It's just that unlike the aggressive attitude towards the galaxy-level forces, even if the galaxy-level powerful forces suffered such losses, they did not show any signs of it. Some insiders even said in their external remarks that there was no problem with the supplies of the yin-yang section. This is very interesting. Is the yin-yang sect better, or is the galaxy-level force starting to give in? It's just that no one knows what the galaxy-level powerhouse is thinking, and this has become a riddle with no answer. In my opinion, no matter what kind of feud the yin-yang sect and that excellency have, and they are even fighting openly and secretly for the dominance of this starry sky, that's the end of it. Because the first round of competition between the two sides is considered the curtain has come to an end, the zinc-level adults have admitted defeat, the yin-yang sect has won the first round, and everyone will be in peace for a while. This is the explanation released by a certain situation analyst in the media. Everything was so coherent, as if he could see the situation of both parties clearly and vividly. What was just a slap in the face continued to happen next. Because just after the galaxy-level forces recognized the value of the yin-yang sect's caravan goods, the yin-yang sect made a huge profit. Everyone believed that while the yin-yang sect made money, it also confirmed its own status. In addition, in the entire starry sky, no one dares to challenge them anymore, and it will definitely stay quiet for a while. But what I never expected was that the yin-yang sect did not stop. 5 days after the delivery of the goods, another unheard-of star-level powerhouse escorting the goods came to the border area where the galaxy-level forces met. This time, there are still so many goods, not to mention the same price again. That's right, this semi-star friend, the price is the same, the goods are basically the same, and the quality is the same as last time. Let alone recycling, You won't accept it this time? Do you still want to lower the price? That stellar level being exuded a shocking aura. Just looking at the aura and brainwave power, it was almost the same as the last time he killed a mid-level stellar yin-yang sect strongman. God knows why the yin-yang sect unexpectedly showed up with such two powerful men at the stellar level. This, I have to ask the higher UPS. It was still the half-star creature who was in charge. In fact, he wanted to transfer away. After all, the star-level experts he followed had all died here. It was understandable that he wanted to transfer away. Unfortunately, Shang Feng thinks that since he has taken over this hot potato, it is better for him to continue to be responsible, and others are not willing to come over. So when this half-star level saw a new caravan coming from the yin-yang sect, or even a star level that he had never seen or heard of, he almost cried. Sir, then the yin-yang sect has arrived with a new caravan, and the goods are still the same. They want to eat up our power, sir, do you really not care about it? Huh? Continue trading? But you have to delay, right? Okay, I'll delay. Not long after leaving, the half-star creature returned to the trading place on the border with a strange expression. This, Your Excellency, please keep the goods. Our adults have said that the transaction will continue, but now we have to agree that the fastest time for your delivery cannot be more than once a month, otherwise we will not be able to eat it. After all, we can't always have such good goods, as it will have an impact on the market. The star-level expert from the yin-yang sect who escorted the goods smiled slightly. Really, since you adults all agree that this product is a good thing, then let's do this. I won't embarrass you, because it's easier to receive the goods here. In fact, the planets of the yin-yang sect are already working overtime. It is impossible to ask us to recoup our investment now, right, so you have to work harder to receive the goods, not to mention such good things, you can just put them in the warehouse. Maybe we will raise the price in the future? So the goods are still it will be delivered every 5 days, but we are very considerate of your financial difficulties. Let's do it this way. You can use high-grade or special-grade energy minerals to exchange for the deficiencies. As for what kind of minerals, I will have a colleague come in 5 days. Just discuss it carefully with him. This star-level creature left behind a string of seemingly fair and considerate words before leaving. They actually said that they would come here every 5 days? And they also asked us to use energy mines to pay off the debt? They simply treat us as a colony. Why haven't you taken action against this kind of force? Is it just like the rumors from the outside world, sir? Are you already afraid of the yin-yang sect? But it seems that you have never had any contact with the yin-yang section. At that border, the entire galaxy-level powerhouse personnel were completely in disarray. The previous self-confidence and the sense of trust in the adults behind him have almost disappeared. Originally, in this situation, if the opponent's galaxy-level powerhouse appeared and used the power of Thunder Court to destroy the yin-yang sect, there would still be a chance to save it. However, the galaxy-level powerhouse was there. At this moment, it was like being a coward, not responding at all, as if he had disappeared. Only the half-star powerhouse knew that he did not disappear, but during the phone call, he said some words that were incomprehensible to him, and even tried to persuade him to be a little more tolerant, because the yin-yang sect was in great power at this time. Is the yin-yang sect powerful? What about us? We have you behind us, you are a majestic Zing level. Why would even a galaxy-level person say that the opponent is powerful? The half-star existence was a bit confused and thought his master was joking. It's a pity that his master doesn't know how to joke, and he knows this very well. So why? Could it be that the yin-yang sect did something? Or is it that my master happened to be injured outside and was therefore tolerant of the yin-yang sect? No one knows all this. The only thing that is known is that since then, the yin-yang sect will transport a large amount of high-end goods every 5 days to the small starry sky here, and then let the border personnel here receive it. Although it is not a very exaggerated amount, in fact, if you look carefully, it would be a bit deceptive if all these things really have to be paid for by the other party's power. Does a galaxy level have a lot of training materials? If calculated, the huge volume of goods traded once every 5 days is actually enough to meet the cultivation needs of half a galaxy of elementary creatures. In this way, the galaxy-level forces remained silent, as if they were being exploited by the other party and were extremely weak. At the same time, the yin-yang sect seemed to have seen a sweet spot. Suddenly, it made trade requests to countless similar small forces around it. All of these requests stated that the yin-yang sect had extremely high value. Supplies. To be honest, if you ask an expert to take a look at the supplies of the yin-yang sect, you can casually see that they are simply garbage, or almost as little as garbage. But unfortunately, these supplies were given by the yin-yang section. They said they were treasures, and no one refuted them. What's going on with the yin-yang sect? Are you going to offend all the stars around us in one go? Damn it, we were just here to watch a good show, but he actually did this to all of us in one go. It's impossible to give him a deal. They've already done this to that adult's forces, and they still want to do it to us. Don't they make enough money? Be careful with the life flower. I'm afraid the yin-yang sect doesn't know that there are big forces behind us. Sigh, but the chair and the stick are the sticks. The strong man behind us is not much different from the galaxy-level master. He even dares to blackmail the galaxy level. How can he be afraid of a force like ours? Every small force feels that the yin-yang sect is cheating on them, and they simply don't regard others as human beings. The only good thing is that the yin-yang sect probably also knows that these small forces cannot afford so much money, so every time they find a small force seeing Kong, they only ask for a small transaction volume, which happens to be when these forces can within the acceptable range. Of course, these forces will not be willing to give up, but when they seek support from the big forces or big figures behind them, it is not that simple. After all, they need to change hands. Coupled with the power and support behind them, after seeing the choice made by that galaxy-level being, they also understood the danger of yin-yang sect at this moment. None of them said anything for the time being, and they did not send any strong people to fight with yin-yang. Deal with the clan. It's not that these forces and powerful people don't care about yin-yang sect. Instead, they are collecting all the information on the yin-yang sect and are still gathering strength. After all, the galaxy-level strongman has long said that the yin-yang sect has wolf ambitions, and their strongman is likely to be a person equivalent to Zeng. He couldn't tell the specific level of combat power, but he himself would never want to take risks. The backstage people of these forces are not as anxious as the galaxy-level powerhouse. After all, the forces asking for help are just relying on them. They don't have to worry at all if the matter does not come to them. So this matter just started to drag on gradually. And the surrounding forces, including the galaxy-level forces, all discovered something. That is the yin-yang sect's deal, which can still be negotiated. Yes, it's really negotiable. Every time you trade, if you give him a little more flexibility, the traders who come will look very happy, and then they will be exempted from part of the transaction fraction, and then certain taxes will also be exempted. After calculating this, they immediately reduced their pressure by 20%. The forces that were used to that kind of pressure were relieved one by one, and they felt that it was not impossible to trade with the yin-yang sect. In this way, all the forces have gradually become accustomed to the temporary exploitation of the yin-yang section anyway. The coalition forces and powerful people are observing and discussing how to deal with the rise of the yin-yang sect, so they can only wait. As for the matter being discussed, then how will the yin-yang sect, this strange force that has emerged, swallow the bones it swallows? How will they spit out a large piece of it to compensate them? Each of these forces, as well as the backstage people behind the forces, are extremely confident in this. After all, the coalition forces are not lying. After they are truly united, their strength is truly astounding. No one would casually contact a few galaxy-level people and start fighting against the Yin-Yang sect without knowing the details of the Yin-Yang sect. That's what only fools do. If they really join forces, it will definitely be a thunderous blow to completely solve the Yin-Yang sect and avoid more troubles in the future. Of course, if you want to achieve this kind of battle, you need more communication. Everyone is looking forward to it. The Yin-Yang sect must not start to show more fangs before they join forces. But these forces don't know that they think this way, and the Yin-Yang sect also thinks the same way. Jia Yan actually made the right calculation and went to Shiyuan and didn't know his strength or his details. These forces and backstage people would be blocked by his evil miasma. He took advantage of this opportunity to quickly use all the exploited materials to carry out rapid operations. Practice. Haha, Qian is just as I expected. None of these forces dare to act rashly against the Yin-Yang section. Besides, my forced buying and selling did not touch their bottom line. After all, every force requires the amount of purchases is not an unbearable burden for their total economy. Of course, it is indeed a bit excessive, but these excessive amounts are necessary, and I want to practice. After Jia Yan observed a large amount of intelligence gathered from various places, he was immediately relieved. Then, he began to practice his real body. The cultivation of the real body is simpler, faster and more clear than imagined. With a lot of resources, as well as previous injuries, battles, and continuous teaching of apprentices and disciples in this land of Yin-Yang sect, a lot of experience gained by himself, and the novel perspective of the problem proposed by the weak, the speed at which he can improve his strength is very amazing. After all, teaching others is the best way to review, which is another reason why Jia Yan is willing to spend a lot of time to open the Yin-Yang sect. With so much help from all aspects, Jia Yan increased his speed much faster than he expected. As for the injuries, they are actually almost healed. As long as his strength improves, those stubborn energy-type wounds that are difficult to treat will naturally disappear. The Yin-Yang sect, which took more than 2 months to establish, has now begun to return the favor and help Jia Yan.